Xbox Game Pass needs to change, at least that's my opinion in light of the information coming out. I even think that Starfield may be the catalyst to some of the changes that we're going to see in Game Pass going forward. I actually think in 2023, Game Pass will undergo some changes in how they deliver and promote game sales. Microsoft has responded, by the way. We're going to be looking at their response. A document came out in their CMA filings that Game Pass is hurting sales. It's driving sales down, and they have officially responded. So we're going to look at their response. We're going to outline ways that I think Game Pass could change, that maybe they should even consider changing to some of these formats to drive more game sales, to foster an ecosystem of purchase and a culture of purchasing games. I put all this right at the beginning of the video, so you don't have to go searching for it. This is a live stream. You're like, why is the video so long? If you clicked on it like after I wasn't streaming. So I do try to put all of the good information right at the beginning. If you like this kind of content, hit like, hit subscribe so you don't miss out. So we recently touched on this, okay? I didn't want to make a video purely about Game Pass, but then when I saw Microsoft respond, I started brainstorming with my producer about how they could change Game Pass going forward to change some of the effects that it's having on their ecosystem. I can't think that shareholders, board members, or anybody who's organized around Microsoft's business strategy for gaming is happy with that report hitting the airwaves that Game Pass is hurting sales. So we did cover this, and I think they need to evolve with gamers and gaming culture going forward, and Microsoft's response is not really a strong response. So my recap of the Activision deal the other day, we did touch on this. I wanted to revisit it. Also, I think Game Pass must change, but I also have theories about how it will change. I actually think we're going to see some of those things take place. Starfield could be the catalyst. Now, quickly, I want to look at what's happening with Game Pass because some numbers are getting thrown out there and these numbers are not verified yet. You may be hearing people throw out the 80% number, like, oh, Game Pass is driving down game sales by 80%. Okay, that was a speculation made by Digital Foundry in December of 2022. The actual document has the number redacted. I don't find 80% that difficult to believe, though, because 25 million people don't have to buy games that are touted as day and date. They land there right as soon as they launch. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people suddenly leaving your potential sales funnel. Now, I've pulled from Eurogamer.net because they've sort of highlighted it. They have the direct quote from the document, and they also reached out to Microsoft, and they got a response. Microsoft already has sort of talking points ready. If you have the paragraphs we're going to read, if you have those ready for an outlet like Eurogamer and you're responding with a spokesperson, then I think Microsoft is keen to push back on this narrative, which I also think what they say points to the fact that they're willing to make changes to Game Pass. You got to pay close attention to how they phrase things. So, pulling from Eurogamer.net, GameIndustry.biz highlighted a line from the UK Competition and Markets Authority provisional report on Microsoft's attempted Activision Blizzard takeover, which was published last week, in which Microsoft stated that the title's inclusion in Game Pass resulted in a subsequent decline in base sales. So what's the exact quote? Because again, people are throwing out that 80% number. That's not a hard number. It's a speculation from guys who pay attention to the industry. And they're like, you can look at the numbers, you can look at the sales figures, and Microsoft titles are having a big decline in sales. And it happened in the wake of Game Pass. So here's the direct quote. Microsoft submitted that its internal analysis shows a redacted % decline in base game sales 12 months following their addition to Game Pass. Now, everybody's zeroing in on the 12 months thing. I had people telling me I was misrepresenting it. They're like, that's not what it means. That's not what it means. They're basically saying after it gets added to Game Pass, the 12 months that follow is a marked decline in sales, surprising nobody with even a modicum of business acumen. Like, of course, when you put something on a subscription service that has 25+ million people in it, the sales numbers are going to go down because that's a lot of people who suddenly don't have to buy it. You also had different bonuses. People could get on Game Pass for $1. People continue to find loopholes to convert and cancel and jump back on Game Pass for virtually no money. And it's a great way to play a brand new title and not actually have to buy it. This is 12 months after it's being added, which also has to be considered. Their biggest titles, their biggest celebrations are day and date. They put things on there as soon as it comes out. Hi-Fi Rush was a shadow drop. It hit day and date. It skyrocketed on the Steam charts, but then it's sitting over there on Game Pass, and you don't have to buy it. High on Life, again, day and date on Game Pass, meaning the 12 months that followed High on Life's release is going to see a decline in sales. It's not going to sell very many copies. Now, according to Eurogamer and many others, this seems to go against things that we heard from Phil Spencer. Okay, this was repeated ad nauseum to me anytime I took issue with Game Pass. Anytime I said Game Pass was going to drive sales down, it was going to create an ecosystem and a culture of non-purchase. It was going to create an ecosystem of dollar menu gaming where people don't value what goes into a game because virtually every game they play, they're not buying. And I was constantly told, no, that's not true. According to Phil Spencer, it increases game sales. Sure. Now, somebody might say, well, you're misrepresenting what Phil said. So let's read what he said, because it's crystal clear that he is trying to indicate that getting added to Game Pass will increase your sales or lead to more sales. Here's what he said, okay? In 2018, he was talking about Forza Horizon 4 coming to Game Pass, leading to more game sales, not fewer, and he said this: when you put a game like Forza Horizon 4 on Game Pass, you instantly have more players of the game, which is actually leading to more sales of the game. Like, just that sentence alone sounds weird, right? You instantly have more players because you have all these people that don't have to buy it, which leads to more sales. So it stands to reason that someone would say, that doesn't make any sense, Phil. What are you saying? So he went on to push back against what many people have been saying. He says, you say, well, isn't everyone just going to subscribe for $10 and go play this thing? But no. Gamers find things to play based on what everybody else is playing. He is specifically pushing back on the notion that people will get Game Pass to avoid buying a game, and instead they'll hear their friend talking about it because of Game Pass, and that spread of word of mouth increases game sales. I think even at the time you could look at that statement and say, that's difficult to believe, Phil. If I hear that the game is really good, why wouldn't I buy Game Pass for $10, try out the game, and then cancel Game Pass? Like, why would I spend $60? My friend says it's really good. Word of mouth is a strong testimonial for game purchase. But even at the time when he said this, I would have thought, that sounds kind of strange, man. Wouldn't that actually just tell more people to get on Game Pass, since the testimonial from a Game Pass user is saying that there's a great game on Game Pass? So he says this in 2018. It led many people to go out there and talk about how, oh man, Game Pass is going to increase sales. Phil said this thing in 2018, and he was clearly drawing a connection between a game landing on Game Pass and that game seeing more sales. That ended up not being true. Now, there may have been a game or a handful of games that saw a bump in sales because they landed on Game Pass well after their release date, okay? You could fudge the numbers here, and you could make it seem as though, hey, you go on Game Pass, it'll actually boost your sales. Well, yes, for maybe a game that's fallen out of frame. Maybe nobody's thinking about it anymore, and then it lands on Game Pass, and it has a moment, right? We saw this happen with Days Gone. It landed on PC. It was far better than it was at launch, more polished. Before it landed on PC, it landed on PS Plus. There was suddenly an increase of people playing Days Gone, and they were like, why did this game get so shredded? This is such a great game. Well, it had so many bugs at launch. Now it doesn't have the bugs. Now it's on PS Plus. Now word of mouth spreads. That may have driven sales, but I don't think it did. Many people were basically like, why would I buy the game? I'll just get on PS Plus and play this amazing game on the subscription service, okay? But Phil Spencer, in this quotation, he literally pushes back on the notion that people will use Game Pass to avoid buying a game, but rather that games will be bought in accordance to word of mouth. So you can't reinvent or try to recontextualize his comments. He was making assurances to the public in 2018 that Game Pass would help game sales. And that has not happened, which is why I'm saying Game Pass has to change. If they thought in 2018 this was going to lead to an increase in sales and it didn't come to fruition, that means they have to be evaluating the impact of Game Pass on their ecosystem and the culture of consumers that they are fostering. Now, in light of this getting press and many people wondering, what in the world is the state of Game Pass? If it's driving down game sales, are you guys going to completely abandon it or change it? Eurogamer contacts Microsoft for an explanation, and the following two paragraphs that I'm going to read to you, it's a bunch of corporate speak. It doesn't really say anything. It certainly doesn't deny what was in the CMA documents. You have to pay close attention here. They are not denying that this is having a negative effect on sales, but they're also not claiming that Game Pass is going to stay the same. They seem to indicate that they're open to changes. They're open to custom plans on Game Pass. So listen very carefully. I actually think you could read this and make a pretty reasonable prediction that we're going to see changes to Game Pass in the near future. Here's the quote. Xbox Game Pass offers gamers and game creators more choice and opportunity in how they discover, experience, and deliver games. This is an Xbox spokesperson telling you, Eurogamer, this is their response. For gamers, that means providing another option for them to discover games and play with friends at a great value. For developers, that means creating another option for how they monetize their games. So, little remark there for consumers. Who gives a frick about the consumers? Nobody's worried about them right now. We're worried about the bottom line here. Is this harming Xbox? Is this going to mean that Game Pass has to fundamentally change? So now they shift. Not talking about consumers, they're going to shift to talking about the developers, the creators. We're focused on helping game creators of all sizes maximize the total financial value they receive through Game Pass. Pay attention, that language is important. Each game is unique, so we work closely with creators to build a custom program to reflect what they need, ensure that they are compensated financially for their participation in the service, and allow room for creativity and innovation. As a result, the number of developers interested in working with Game Pass continues to grow. Now, that last sentence, I think, is PR. I don't know. We don't know if that's true. We'll have to kind of watch and see. We'll also have to watch and see if Game Pass changes. Does that make it more winsome to developers? Because developers have to be paying attention to this and saying, wait a minute, if we go on Game Pass, and we're having a reduction in sales, we're going to be compensated pretty handsomely. And I know Microsoft does that, but I even think as a business strategy, that's a short game because you can't just keep throwing money at people in large sums to developers when you've already they admitted in a document to one of the regulators that they've hit saturation of Game Pass on consoles. They don't see as much room for growth there as they do on PC. So Game Pass, again, according to those documents, is only going to make up like 15% of the annual gaming division revenue. Even if that was a conservative estimate and they're going to be like 20% of the revenue, that means that Game Pass can't be just nothing but a money pit where you're just throwing money at developers to come on to Game Pass. And I think that's why they're going to make changes, okay? At one level, this isn't really a response, okay? I believe there's lines in there that we can extrapolate and say they're willing to make changes to Game Pass. They're willing to make changes to how games show up on Game Pass, according to this quotation, okay? And Eurogamer is good to point out that this is not an attempt to deny the claims in the CMA document. They're seemingly saying, listen, developers do okay on Game Pass. Like, I think that was the first thing people thought was, oh my gosh, games go on Game Pass and then they don't sell? Oh, that's got to be terrible for the developers. You can sense in the statement, they're trying to protect the idea that, like, hey, developers, we take care of the developers. We're not screwing people here. I think that's kind of the elements of the response. So it sounds like a defense against whether or not Game Pass is bad for developers more than it is a defense of Game Pass as a financial strategy, as a business plan. Like, they're not necessarily defending that. They're more defending against the idea that, like, yeah, developers do okay. We take care of them, okay? They also seem to indicate rather generically that developers are interested in Game Pass. That's continuing to grow. That seemed kind of generic. I feel like they're trying to defend it because this isn't great PR for Game Pass in the current headlines, right? I would like to point out they do seem to indicate that Game Pass is flexible and customizable to each developer, okay? This is linked to my subject and topic today that Game Pass must evolve, and I've got some theories about how that might happen. This line is really important. I want you to keep this in mind. Microsoft said they want companies to be able to, quote, maximize the total financial value they receive through Game Pass. And it stands to reason getting people to buy the game and also getting money from Microsoft to be a part of the Game Pass ecosystem, that's maximizing the total financial value. Just because Microsoft writes you a fat check doesn't mean you are maximizing the financial value of Game Pass, all right? I believe some of these theories are on the horizon. Here we go, all right? This is my first one. My first theory, or we could say suggestion, all right? I think they could add a tier level of Game Pass, or just make this endemic to Game Pass, where you get 1 to 2 weeks of early access when you purchase the game, and you get a discount on that game if you're a Game Pass owner. These things are kind of already in the market right now. You just have to kind of put them all together in one package. This movement is already kind of happening, right? At a smaller scale, you have games like Redfall and Forza Horizon where you got 72 hours of early access if you got the deluxe edition. Hogwarts Legacy just did this. This has nothing to do with Game Pass and Microsoft. That's becoming kind of a standard thing in the industry. So people aren't going to bristle at that too hard. Like, oh, if I buy the game, I can play early. It's already becoming accepted that, like, if I buy the big dog, I get in early. Well, if you make this a part of Game Pass, you could position it like a value add. Hey, you get a game at a discount. Hey, you get in 1 to 2 weeks early. That's a perk of Game Pass. Now, obviously, you could still wait, and you could still play the game day and date on Game Pass. See, what this does is this insulates that value point. They can continue to say day and date, day and date, day and date, and it's still true. And for the people that really like to buy games, or people that really want to be in there moment one instantaneously, well, now you might be getting them from both ends. If it feels like a perk, and it fosters healthy FOMO, this could work really, really well for existing and new Game Pass subscribers, okay? If you buy lots of games, getting in a sub-program that gives you both a discount and a significant portion of early access, this could be very compelling. You could actually get people who currently look at Game Pass with kind of a, I don't really do that. I like to own my games. Well, it's kind of winsome to be like, hey man, for $10 a month, you get a discount on the game and you get in before everybody else. You would get, I think, a new demographic of consumer to buy into the value of Game Pass. This is something that they could do. This is me sort of suggesting that they do it. All right. Another idea, they could add a tier that gets trials like Sony PS Plus Premium to foster purchases while maintaining the idea, the identity, and that feeling that, hey, you get to try games on Game Pass. Players and consumer behavior could actually support this, right? If they look at the data, there could be a ton of people who play Game Pass games for 1 to 3 hours, and they just stop. They're like, oh, it's enough. I played enough. I got to try it, right? And if they get to continue to do that, they're not going to bristle at this either. Not everybody, right? There would be people that would be upset if they make some of these changes. If that consumer expectation and that experience remains intact, it wouldn't disrupt. Like if you shift to game trials, you could even just include game trials for all Game Pass subscribers as a way to offer more value than Sony at a lower cost. You could say, hey, Sony charges you a premium for game trials. Game trials are endemic to Game Pass. Every game that hits Game Pass, you can play it for a few hours and then decide if you want to buy it. Now, that would be, I think, a little bit of a harder sell. I think the early access for purchase is an easier sell if you suddenly had games hitting Game Pass that weren't the full game. It was just a trial. I think that might irritate more people. But again, if you do it now, if you do it in 2023, and you foster this idea going forward that Game Pass is this smattering of, you got this amazing backlog of full games, you got new games, you got first-party games, you got game trials. What you would do is you would slowly start filtering more and more games to the game trials funnel, and then you're getting more purchases. You have people who are paying for a subscription service and also buying games. That could be very good for Microsoft's bottom line. Now, my last theory is about Starfield. And this one comes partially from my producer and partially from me, okay? He said this kind of hit him yesterday, and I was won over by this. I do think there is a potential relationship between the Starfield release date and changes coming to Game Pass, right? Partial relationship. I think primarily Starfield's been delayed for developmental reasons. I have my own theories about it struggling to perform on the Series S. We're hearing nightmare stories about Wild Hearts on the Series S. Now, again, that game's not optimized that well. It's not running well on PC either, but beefy, tough games that struggle to run well, they play even worse over there. But I do think there could be something here, so hear me out. Starfield's release is related to how it lands on Game Pass in light of the recent reports about the impact of Game Pass having on game sales. I want you to think about the investment in Bethesda and the potential commercial strength of Starfield being too great to give the game to people who get on Game Pass for $1 or $10. Like, maybe they do the dollar thing, the loophole thing that people do, but maybe they're just constantly getting on there for the 10 and then they're canceling. Giving a game of this size from a acquisition of that size, just giving this game to people, I think is a commercial failure. I don't think it's a good idea at all. I think it's fine to use your first-party property to bolster Game Pass, but I also think you need to sell games. The game will sell plenty well in high numbers, more than likely on PC, but I do think you could see some shift here with Starfield. Starfield was likely delayed for actual developmental reasons, but the price increase to $70 combined with all we've heard about Game Pass makes me think we're going to see a shift in Game Pass alongside Starfield's launch. Also, you got to consider that Microsoft said they work with devs on custom plans, and that doesn't exclude first-party developers in my mind. A custom plan for Starfield might be some kind of a 2-week early access thing for people who buy the game and also have Game Pass. What that would do is it would tell people, man, if you want to get in there right away, you got to be on Game Pass. That's a huge benefit to be on Game Pass instead of Steam. That's another benefit that I really want to highlight here. A lot of Microsoft titles going forward are landing on both PC and console. And if you could play the game 2 weeks early, as long as you're on Game Pass, and as long as you buy it from the Microsoft Store, what does that do? That suddenly makes the Microsoft Store on PC worth engaging with, because right now, there's not a real reason to engage with it. Many people just stay on Steam. But you start giving people a discount, you start giving people 2 weeks of early access if they go through the Microsoft Store and they subscribe to PC Game Pass, you suddenly have just created a really, really good competitive edge against the giant that is Steam. I think that'd be a good move. They can still honor the day and date promise with Starfield, but shift toward purchase incentives that could come baked in with the Starfield release and changes to Game Pass. So, my conclusion. I love doing these show opens with you guys. This is fun. And I know you don't get chat engagement, but the monologue is really enjoyable for me. I hope you enjoyed as well. Here's my conclusion. Game Pass, like all other subservices, is not immune to the need to evolve. Netflix is facing significant problems that is analogous to what would happen with Game Pass, because we're seeing Netflix dumped a bunch of money in first-party titles, and then those first-party titles don't move the sub number anymore. They cancel the show after 2 seasons. We're seeing very analogous results in Game Pass in this finding that, hey, it's driving down game sales. Can we really afford to keep throwing money at really big first-party property to put on Game Pass if it's antithetical to game purchases? Especially after they also admitted that they feel they've hit saturation with Game Pass subscribers on console. Even PS Plus evolved, and I think PS Plus still needs to evolve. It took almost the entire 90 days for God of War Ragnarok to hit game trials for PS Plus premium subscribers. That's a first-party title. Now, they probably did that because God of War Ragnarok was in such high demand and it was so commercially and marketed so strong that they didn't need to give anybody a trial. It's like, no, if you want to play the game, buy the game. I get that. But even PS Plus is not where I think it should be. I'm pretty critical of the UI over there, of how it frames everything, how everything's offered. You can actually buy a game by mistake on your PlayStation. You can buy a game that's a part of PS Plus. It doesn't alert you. That's a giant oversight. Come on. PS Plus needs to evolve as well. It recently went through an evolution, and I don't think it's done yet. Sub-services are, in the gaming world, somewhat in their infancy. Changes and adaptation are inevitable, just the same as the impending price increases, okay? They're gonna raise the price on Game Pass. They're gonna raise the price on PS Plus, Disney Plus, Netflix, Hulu, HBO, all of your beloved sub-services that you're using right now to watch TV shows, movies, or borrowing password from your auntie. Those prices will go up. It's unavoidable. Sub-services will not stay static as they are. And Netflix is a cautionary tale about not adapting to shifts in the market. They might even couple predictable price changes to Game Pass with increases to features and value and perk ads. All of a sudden, Game Trials shows up. Yeah, we raised the price of Game Pass, but we added Game Trials. We added 2-week early access and discount on games. Position it as a value add, and people are going to look a little differently at that price increase. If you look at all the current info and you look at the trends with Game Pass and you think it's just going to remain as is, to me, that's naive and ultimately unlikely. And that's a show open. That is a 26-minute show open, and I had to revisit this. I had to go back. I've got theories about stuff that's coming. I've got ideas about how they could prove it and improve it and fix it. And their response, I'm telling you, if you really look at what they said, they're planning on making changes. They are. Thank you so much for watching over here on the Tickety Talk. 3,000 likes. You guys are crushing it. I appreciate the support over here. You don't get much chat engagement from me in the open. Night Fury, thank you for the gift over here. That supports me. Anybody watching over here, consider clicking the star. It makes you a subscriber to my little tick channel here, and you get like a little badge and emojis. If you guys are over here on YouTube, smash the like button. We should easily have 200 likes. Get the sub number going. We hit 25,000 subscribers. Of course, it happened after I wasn't live yesterday. We actually did it. It's a huge milestone for the channel. Apparently, YouTube starts treating you differently when you hit 25,000 subscribers. So celebrate the 25K marker with me today. Let's get some members going. Let's boost our paying member number over here on YouTube to celebrate 25,000 subscribers. It's a big deal. Next stop, 50K. Next up, 50K. I want to know what you guys think about some of my ideas about how Game Pass could change. This guy's only complaining about Xbox. Yes, if you only watch Xbox content because you live in a bubble, you'll only probably catch my Xbox coverage, which lately it has been negative because of 343 and Halo Infinite being on fire and layoffs and Game Pass hurting game sales, since we predicted it would hurt game sales, and I was constantly told that it wouldn't hurt game sales by Xbox fans. And yeah, I'm critical of Sony too. I had critical things that I said about God of War Ragnarok's marketing. I have a whole stream about that. Even in this show open, I talked about how PS Plus needs to evolve. Its offerings aren't that impressive. I mean, why would you wait 90 days to put God of War Ragnarok on a game trial? I think that's kind of stupid. I think the UI is bad. I think the way they position all their games is bad. So yeah, I try to cover all of it. Minch Tree is going to start the day with one gifted member. Thank you so much, sir. It went to Doomer. The early access idea immediately sells me. Right, I'm telling you, right, Benjamin? Right, like, you would just do it. You'd be like, I buy games all the time. You're telling me if I'm on Game Pass, I can get the game at a discount and I can get in the game early? Like, so many people would be like, bro, I've never thought or considered Game Pass, but I'll do it now. Thank you for another gift over here, Night Fury. I appreciate that. And a big one from Lone Wolf. He drops a big gifted member bomb on the chat. That's a 10 bomb. That's 10 more people. Good to see names I recognize. Casey, Jocko, The Unpack Theory, Chris Wickert, Zay, Harry Harrison, Penguin, Evan, Gilbert, RG Baltimore, and Mike K. You guys all got gifteds. My brother says, hey brother, the parts of your monologue that are not Loney suggestions sound quite a bit like PR from Microsoft. We treat devs wonderfully, and so on. Listen to that with an eyebrow way up. Right? It sounded like they were immediately worried about the bad PR for Game Pass. They're like, whoa. We treat developers really well, and there's more and more developers every day that want to work with Game Pass. It's like, Y'all are kind of worried about that, right? You got to have those people that are interested, right? Rockin' Robin coming in, helping us celebrate 25,000 subscribers with 5 gifted members, and 1 from Darth Nihilus. That takes us to 17 gifted members on the day. You guys are amazing. We could probably hit 2,000 members today. Really, 25K subscribers and 2,500 members would be beautiful. It'd be beautiful. We would need a lot of members. That said, your thoughts make sense. Good long opener. Not 28 hours long, but still, thank you. If you guys just got gifted a member in chat, I appreciate you being here. Enjoy that membership. Enjoy that extra content. Hopefully I see you on Friday nights with my wife when we do those members-only streams, or maybe in those lunch breaks, behind-the-scenes streams that we do about every other day now. Isn't it up to the developer of the game whether it's on Game Pass? They should know based on projected sales if the money they get from Microsoft is worth it. Here's the problem with that, Minstree. Do you think Microsoft is going to be totally cool with you not being on Game Pass? Where do you think they're going to put you on their front page? Where do you think they're going to put you in the store? They put a lot of emphasis on Game Pass. You know what I'm saying? Yo, Freddie Jackson with 22 months, and it's a VIP. Wow, almost 2 years of watching you. Love the show. Keep it going. Yo, Feed, I see you in the chat. Feed, and Cardoc Ren's going to come in and take us to 22 members already to celebrate 25,000 subscribers on the channel. Thank you guys so much for being here. A lot of gifted members getting thrown around. Every 25, I owe you 5 members, and I bet you this number gets really high today. I'll tell you what, I do it at the end of the stream, so it's a reason for you to watch the whole stream and be here at the end. We're checking out Returnal on PC. We're going to be doing more Hogwarts Legacy. I brushed up on my Returnal last night. I had a good run. I beat Biome 1 and 2 like it was nothing. I had to save the game at Biome 3. I was like, I got to go to bed. It was like an hour and a half run. So we'll be jumping into that today, testing the performance on PC. Say a little prayer for my computer. Sometimes it doesn't like certain games. Some games run perfectly fine. So clearly you answered. You're talking to myself. Hang on. Name me one studio other than Forza team that they have managed well. Yeah, I'm with you, Black Sabbath. I'm with you. Sorry, my YouTube chat's kind of going crazy. So if you feel like you get ignored over here on the Tickety Talk, I am sorry about that. Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I feel like a lot of the studios aren't managed well. I feel like a lot of the property's not managed well. I think that's fair. It's a fair observation right now. They have more studios. They have more studios than Sony at this point. Like, come on. Like, where's the games? Yo, Freddie Jackson's gonna drop a bomb on chat, taking us to 42 members. That's a big one. That's so generous, Freddie. That's a long-time viewer and supporter. Freddie is from back in the day, and he drops a 20 bomb on chat and a 2-spot from SDO. Game Pass needs AAA bangers, God of War quality. Absolutely massive. We hit 25,000 subscribers. Let's hit 2,500 members. Let's do it. I believe that we can do it. I do. I don't have my emails pulled up right now, so let me get that pulled up just in case anybody orders some coffee. I like to thank those people as well. We're doing a sale right now on our holiday blend. Use code GETFRICKED. Use code GETFRICKED, and you'll get 20% off our holiday blend. If you order like 4 or 5 bags, it makes like the 5th bag free. It makes shipping free, like however you want to look at it. Yo, Hemi coming in with 7 months. Renewing. Big O coming in with 14 months. What's good, Lono? We need more likes on the vid. Hey, tell chat. Get on them. Get on them. Do something every 25,000 subs. I don't know what we would do. But I tell you what we're going to do right now is we're going to have a good show. I want to know what you guys think about some of the incentives. Do you think that you're going to see changes to Game Pass this year? Do you think that's coming? Is it just me, or is Lono 30 FPS on the Tickety Talk? Oh, I probably am 30 FPS over there. I don't think I can change the camera to 60. I don't know if I can change that before I boot up. It probably makes it easier to live stream because it's, over my Wi-Fi, or some people probably stream over their cell band. Congrats on 25K. Thank you, Ala Park, for 6 months of membership. Thank you very much. Thinkles, the simple thing is you just remove day and date. Robert, do you honestly think they can remove day and date after all the promotions they've done, after all of the drum pounding they've done on day and date? I mean, That's literally one of its distinctive qualities, is that when a game lands, you play it day and date, day and date, day and date, day and date. You know? What's up with Game Pass? I think Game Pass will be changing this year. According to an official document submitted to the CMA by Microsoft, Game Pass is having a decreasing effect on game sales, and I think they're going to make changes to Game Pass this year. I think Game Pass price will go up this year, probably second half of the year, and when they do that, they're not the only one, by the way. I think everybody's subscription service prices are going up this year. Disney Plus already did it. I think that's just part and parcel to where we are right now, right? Be careful, Lono. YouTube starts treating you different is a very ominous statement. I'm not trying to be ominous. If Game Pass takes away day and date on Game Pass, it would really hurt it, says Drufus. Maybe make higher tiers to offset game sales along with an increase in Game Pass price. TJ Rage with a $2 tip. If day and date is removed, so will my subscription. Reports are showing that Game Pass is losing profits. I don't know if I want to phrase it as losing profits, but you have to wonder if the quantity of people that have signed up and maintained their subscription compared to the potential sales that they lost, then yes, you would be able to compute that and say that's profit loss. We don't know if that's the case. I hazard a guess that that is the case, which is why I believe Game Pass will change this year. Is Fable still happening? As far as we know, it's still in development, yeah, by the team behind Forza. They're using the Forza tech engine. What is it? Playground Games is making it. 25K subs. We need no Reforge collage with the opening music. LL Cool J's Mama Said to Knock You Out. Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years. Yeah. I almost tweeted a picture. I almost changed that, the other day, and tweeted a picture of myself and said, don't call it a glow up. I've always looked this good. But I decided not to. I thought that was very not me. Don't call it a comeback. That's right. Maybe lower price and have 3-hour demos on AAAs like Sony. I don't think you can lower the price. I don't think they're going to do that. I think you add more value, right? Paul asked a question that I want to hear Lono argue against. What did Paul ask me? That's FOMO to make people buy Game Pass. If that was the only way to play a game early, would be awful. 70% of your game sales have nothing to do with Game Pass, and you want to force them onto a service that they don't use for early access. Never going to happen. Early access will be sold to 100% of the player base as extra. Yeah, but that's dependent upon the developers to do that. I'm saying that Game Pass would make it endemic to their platform. They would make it endemic to Game Pass. That if you're on Game Pass, you get discounts on games and you get to play them early. Listen, that's already a thing, Paul. That's a reason to sign up for EA Play. They'd literally be taking a page out of the EA playbook. People sign up for EA Play, and what do they get? They get discounts on the games when they buy them, and they can play them early. Like, you can play Wild Hearts. You could play Anthem for like a week or two early, remember? You could play early. And there was no limit on how much you could play back then. Now I think it's like 10 hours for some games. But like, you play for 10 hours. And that's you buying the game. Is it not? Or maybe the 10 hours is the trial and then you buy the game. Either way, it's very, very similar. PS Plus does that too. Well, PS Plus Premium has trials. Email the team and submit your application to their marketing team. Well, I don't want to work for them. I don't want to work for them. What's good, Tickety Talk fam? It's Sven. What's good, Sven? 10 $70 games is worth more than 10 subscriptions anyway. You cut it if you're losing money. Well, or you make changes to it. It would be absolutely destructive to just get rid of Game Pass. They have 25 plus million subscribers. They have over 25 million people subscribed. Come on, you're not going to get rid of it, but you can make changes to it, right? I've had Game Pass sub for years. I play games. It's the best value in gaming. I'll never cancel as long as the value is there. Go work for them for 18 months. Yeah, I guess it could be an 18-month contract. So I'll be back, guys. I'll be back in a year and a half, guys. I signed an 18-month contract with Microsoft. Oh, golly. I don't want to work there. Lono wants a second job. You know it. I don't. I do not want a second job. I think it's far more likely that they lean into discounts on the game and early access. I think it's far more likely that they lean into that instead of leaning into, what was the other one? Game trials. If I'm picking between the two, I'm telling you, oh yeah, if you're on Game Pass, you get a discount on the game. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, and you get in early too. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's far more likely to happen than game trials. You know what I mean? Have you looked through the games on Game Pass lately? It's not a great catalog. Lots of indies and mid-Microsoft games. They need something good. You get a discount right now? Right, but they would repackage that, right, Paul? They would say, not only do you get the discount, but now when you buy a game, you get in early. They would double down on that value point, that perk point, that you know what I mean? That bullet point would get better. My man Warpath with 6 months and a VIP membership. Congrats on 25K, brother. Keep up the good work. And if Game Pass gets a price increase with game trials and early access, you son of a... I'm in. Yeah, you get 10% off. Sure. I'm talking about more than that, though. Think about why that doesn't land as a value point, Paul. Because I don't see it. When I go to a game that's on Game Pass, do you know what it says? Install this game with Game Pass. It doesn't ask me to buy the game. No. It doesn't ask me to buy the game. That 10% off with my Game Pass membership, I rarely see that. I rarely see it. It's not even on my radar half the time. Why? Well, because games land day and date. I go to the game, and it never asks me to spend money. Take notes, Sony. Sony needs to do this, by the way. If you go to a game right now in the Sony store that's a part of PS Plus, but you don't go through the PS Plus menu system, it'll just let you buy the game. Say what? Like, Microsoft's leading the charge there to a certain degree. If I go to the game through the store, it's like, here you go, install the game, Game Pass owner. Oh, I will. And I push the button. It actually does. It says install with Game Pass or buy it for the discounted price. Well, I'll tell you what's funny. I've never seen it because all I see is install with Game Pass. I don't see a call to action. I don't see oh yeah, you got to spend money. That's my point, right? I don't see it. I have consumer blindness. I see the big flashing free. I see install it. And I'm like, okay, click, and I click the button. And oh, that's mine now, my game now. Yo, Newtonian with 7 months of membership. Been a fan since the Moon DLC for that game. Love you, Lono. You deserve it all. Thank you, Newtonian. You guys that are ride or die, I appreciate it very much. Hilly says, Microsoft really have backed themselves into a corner with Game Pass. They went deep with day and date, and the box players expect full-price games to play on the pass. Like all subscription services, they lack resilience to price increases. Price increases will likely slow or reduce growth. Microsoft has planted the idea that they need to pay the sub for all Microsoft games. Discounts, early access, all of it is less value than AAA day and date. I think the growth didn't hit predictions because the big games haven't come, and now the cat's out of the bag. I mean, I could see it that way, Hilly, that like Game Pass games weren't hitting. There was supposed to be like a steady flow of big Xbox Game Pass games. They weren't hitting, and that slowed momentum, and then you can't fix that now. You know what I'm saying? Momentum's gone. You'll have boosts in subscriber numbers when games like Starfield come out, but it's not a boost in the midst of momentum. Does that make sense? Like, when you're having a moment and things are like this, and you just get to keep throwing gas on the fire, you know what I mean? Huh? Add to library? Nope. Do it through the PlayStation, Eugene. I've literally gone to games that I own according to PS Plus, and it doesn't tell me that. It just gives me the option to buy it. You're on mobile. You got to do it on the PlayStation. I swear to you, unless they recently pushed out an update, I almost did it by accident one day. I was like, wait a minute, isn't this game on PS Plus? And I backed out of the store, I backed out of the game, and I went through PS Plus, and there it sat. I'm telling you, on the PlayStation, it doesn't work right. The PlayStation UI is a freaking disaster. It's hideous. It's awful. I can't stand it. That's one of the things I'm the most critical about with them. Like, fix your dadgum UI. Have you been asked, well, what did I miss? Xbox Game Pass has come to be shown to drive game sales down. Now, right? I'm curious. Yeah, right there. Lone, I've never looked over there, Lone Wolf. I've never, ever looked over there. I'm like, yep, yeah, just install it. Just checked. They must have pushed out an update. I promise you, I went to the store, I searched for the game, I clicked on the game, and it was going to let me buy it. And I was like, what? Backed out. I went to PS Plus, and then it said download instead. It had the download button. Maybe there were bugs with the store back then. I don't know. The store has been finicky with me before. I've gone to search for a game, and I have to spell like 3 words for it to even find the game. So maybe it was a glitch. But I'm telling you right now, I've had that experience on my PlayStation 5. I've gone to a game and been like, it's asking me to buy it, and it's a part of PS Plus. It's because you don't read? No, it's literally a different button. It's not a matter of not reading. Like, I know you're dialing in the meme, but like, no, it literally, it like on the PlayStation, I'm telling you, it 100% did it. It did it to Creature. It did the same thing to Creature. He accidentally bought a game that's a part of PS Plus. I've literally had that experience. Yo, Lord Bacon the Destroyer says, wait, hold up. Did likes become out of fashion? I don't know. We should have 300, shouldn't we? I've had that too, says Danzatastic. Games that you own on PlayStation Plus, it has a little plus symbol on it, so you know you already own it. I'm telling you, they might have fixed it. It might have been a bug. I promise you, this was months ago. It was months ago. I was getting games ready for a Friday night, and I went into the store, I searched for the game, and it was asking me to buy it. And I was like, what? Someone said this was a part of Game Pass. PS Plus. Somebody said this is a part of PS Plus. I backed all the way out, and then I went in, and there it was. I could install it. You go into the PlayStation Store on the PS5, they actually tell you what's included in PlayStation Plus. It was probably like that before. I did the search. I'm pretty confident I used the search thing. Hey, I think somebody... Oh, what? Somebody ordered some coffee. Why is it telling me... That's not a new email? I don't understand. There it is. Somebody ordered some coffee. Email is being funky. My man Cole grabbed a bag of Frickmas. You didn't use the discount code, but that's okay. You can get 20% off if you order Frickmas. Use code GETFRICKED. ReforgeRoast.com. You're killing it, man. All those losers who tried to end your career are irrelevant. Cheers. I don't even like to think about them in that regard, man. I don't even like to think about them. Big Dog, hope all is well. What's good, Dark Taco? Game Pass needs to incentivize the monetization of its model or change to a timed demo or a trial model. Being able to play entire games for $15 a month is never going to be successful. Yo, good morning, Drum Man. Would you please ensure your special Reforge coffee is up close to the camera shot? Also, do you put anything extra in your coffee? Listen, man, I'm be real with you. You keep coming in acting weird about the coffee, so just chill and stop it. 343 and a Halo problem. Game Pass not rapidly growing. Developers not seeing a ton of money for sales due to Game Pass. Lack of exclusives. Xbox can't catch a break. Yo, Chase Hayden coming in with 4 months and a member plus. And Lord Bacon the Destroyer is doing a VIP. That's my man right there. Lord Bacon is super, super kind. I don't know. We've got some people here that'll bless y'all. Maybe we'll see what happens. Lono's right on this one. The PS Store will let you buy games you own, but sometimes you can't. I can't buy Days Gone, but it's on sale and I have PS Plus, but it let me buy other PS Plus games. I'm telling you, I think it's a UI glitch. It's just a bug. I'm not saying that like PlayStation's trying to rip people off. I'm just saying their UI is buggy. Things get delayed sometimes. Prices go up all the time since money was invented. The gaming world just has a crap ton of people who somehow never experienced that before. Well, in my mind, though, here's my issue with what's going on with Game Pass, okay? I can't look at Netflix and not see just a cautionary tale for Game Pass. That's all I see. I see giant flashing red lights saying, if you keep going this way, it will hurt you. This is not the road to take. Now, you can have a subservice. I'm not saying subservices need to vanish into thin air, but the current structure of Game Pass, I think it must change. It can't survive as it currently is. Thanks for the gifted member, whoever did it. JK just got the email. Well, hey, thanks for coming in and hanging out. Glad you got one. Some games have different tiers and different prices, and only low tiers will be free. Oh, I have the highest tier, and it shows included if it's on the free package. I have PS Premium, my man. I got the highest one available, and I'm telling you, it bugs out sometimes. Like, listen. I don't want to keep talking about PS Plus bugging out. Just freaking get over it. You guys are getting stuck on something that isn't worth getting stuck on, right? Stop it. Like, it was a bug. It was a glitch. It was a whatever. I'm not the only one that's experienced it. Can we please move the frick on? Like, I wasn't trying to hurt our precious Sony god that, they're trying to rip us off. I was just saying, I think their UI is bad, and here's an example of how. Microsoft needs to learn from Netflix's failure, make good content, and people will come. But when you just push out rushed content, it really shows. They cancel so many shows they invested in. They cancel shows for financial reasons, though. Like, just track with me on this. People always tell me this is a false equivalency, right? What's good, Atwood? Fam's good. Thanks for asking. People always tell me this is a false equivalency. But just track with me here. Netflix boosted their subscription numbers by investing heavily into first-party content. They spent tons of money, right? They spent tons of money in shows like Queen's Gambit and others. And that would cause an increase in subscriber numbers when that happened. Okay? I'm just going to press pause. Malthasaran says, yes, stop talking bad about PlayStation, back to Xbox. With all due respect, shut the frick up. Today's topic is about Game Pass, right? Like, if you want to drive that narrative, I'll ban you with a badge with impunity. I don't care if you have a badge. I don't. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Netflix was throwing money at first-party shows. And then what happened? The second season would come out, and it wouldn't drive subscriber numbers. And the minute they weren't recouping cost with an increase in sub numbers, they would cancel super popular shows. Why? It was a financial decision. It wasn't personal. It wasn't personal. They weren't like, we don't like that show, and then just get rid of it. It doesn't work. You're just dumping money on a first-party show, and you're like, well, we're not recouping costs anymore. I want you to now compare that to Game Pass. Game Pass seemingly has a plan going forward to take really big first-party titles like, I don't know, Starfield, and throw it on Game Pass so you don't have to buy it. Now, the hope would be that would be then recouped by an increase in people subscribing to Game Pass. The difficulty there is you're having somebody do that instead of buying the game at $70. There's no, even in Netflix's realm, it wasn't like you were choosing between I'll subscribe to Netflix and binge the Queen's Gambit, and you were doing that like instead of buying the Queen's Gambit. Does that make sense? There's a measurable loss of you saying, I could buy Starfield for $70, or I could sign up for Game Pass, play it for 2 months, and I've saved $50. I'll cancel Game Pass in 2 months. I spent $10 for the first month, $10 for the second month. That's $20. Time to cancel. Time to cancel Game Pass. So that's a measurable loss at that point. Oh yeah, we just lost $50. How many people would have bought Starfield for the $70, and then they'll basically play it for $10 or $20? So even if you compare it to Netflix, it's actually worse. It's actually a worse setup because you're literally giving somebody an out. You're like, yeah. Instead of buying the game at $70, you can sign up for our sub service for $10. And unlike a movie or a TV show that you watch once and then that's it for a while, you literally can play it for the entire month as much as you want. And it continues to grow. Like the number of hours you're going to get out of Starfield compared to like an 8-hour show, right? 8 episodes, 8 hours, every episode, whatever. It's not even comparable. The value for Game Pass it's slanted so heavily to the consumer, it's tipping over. I have to thank some coffee orders. 3 bags of Frickmas to Celt Blood, and he used the discount. Thank you so much. 3 bags of Frickmas to Celt Blood, and then my man Grady's going to come in. Grady's going to grab a bag of Frickmas and get that 20% off. Keep the coffee orders going. Keep the memberships going. Let's hit 300 likes. Thanks for a strong, strong day. Nothing I'm saying, by the way, is anti-Xbox or anti-Game Pass. I'm saying, as it stands, this has to be an evolutionary step in Game Pass's life. You're confused, Lumphao? Game Pass is goated? What a riveting and compelling intellectual argument. You even used the goat emoji. Whew. It's like I'm watching a debate between 2 PhDs take place. We can draw analogies with things like Netflix, but only if we're really careful. Netflix never sold movies you could buy and keep. It was a subscription all along. Gaming has been shifting. Right. That's my point, Derek. At one level, it's honestly worse. Like, Netflix wasn't cannibalizing their own products. Do you see? Like, Netflix wasn't cannibalizing their own products. Like, well, we could sell the Queen's Gambit seasons for $20, but instead we're going to let people watch the show for $10. They weren't doing that. But that's exactly what Game Pass is doing. Game Pass is like literally like, hey, you guys over there, yeah, we're on the same team, right? You're the storefront, we're Game Pass. Bleed green, baby, right? Yeah, green bleed, yeah, we're Xbox. And oh, by the way, you guys are supposed to sell games over there. That's your job, storefront, margins. Yeah, man, launch date's almost here. We're gonna give it away. Yeah, we're gonna give it away. So no one's coming to you. Like that. They're literally reaching in to the one of the more profitable aspects of games, which is, you know, the first 2 weeks of game sales. The first 2 weeks of game sales are like the most profitable weeks of a game's launch, of a game's existence, I should say. It has to change. I'm not saying Game Pass is bad or wrong. If anything, Game Pass is such a good deal for you, you'd be stupid not to use it, especially once some of these bigger games start launching. Like if Redfall and Minecraft Legends and Forza Motorsport and Starfield, if they start hitting at a rhythm, buddy, you make out like a bandit. You do. You get so much gaming for so little money. But I'm telling you, it's so slanted toward the consumer that it's tipping over. Like this, they literally revealed to the CMA, they're like, yeah, it's cannibalizing sales numbers. Well, what was Phil talking about in 2018 then? What was Phil talking about in 2018 where he said it increased number? It led to more sales. Why would you want it to change to be against the consumer? When did I say I want it to be against the consumer? Did I say that I want Game Pass to be anti-consumer? No. I said I believe it needs to evolve. Subscription services are evolving. Look at Netflix. Right? Look at Netflix. Like even PS Plus just evolved, and I don't think it evolved particularly very well. I don't think it did that great. I think they lost people. I don't think it's in a great position right now. I think when you go to the PlayStation platform, I don't think it's positioned nearly as well. Game Pass looks 1,000 times better. When I go to my Xbox, Game Pass's packaging, positioning, its layout, its UI, it's pristine. It's pristine. You go to the PlayStation Plus, their conversion rate, People that boot up the PlayStation UI and actually convert to PS Plus, it's got to be abysmal. I promise you it's an abysmal number. It's so clunky and awful, it's just data puke. It's bad, right? So my point is that subscription services have to evolve. They can't just stay as they are for in infinitude, right? You're stating it's for the consumer and needs to change. You don't state how. Well, I did. I've been streaming for an hour, and my show open was like 20 minutes long. And in that, I included how they could change. You just weren't here for that. So your better choice of engaging with me would be to say, hey, how? How could it change? And then I'll give you some of my answers instead of just immediately coming in and telling me I don't know what I'm talking about and that Xbox Game Pass is goated. You always are going to get a better interaction with somebody by asking questions instead of just popping off with assertions. So I'll give you some of the ideas. I'll do it right now. I will. This is called a recap. I do this every once in a while for the stream because, hey, I don't expect you to be here the moment I start breathing on the mic. That's not a fair expectation from me. I'm happy to repeat things that I said in the beginning. Okay, one thing I think they could do, okay? And I think the way to do this would be to couple this with when they have to raise the price, okay? With when they have to raise the price. So I don't think it's avoidable. I think Game Pass will see a price increase this year. I believe it'll be in the second half of the year, okay? Multiple subscription services are going up in price. That's not abnormal, okay? Oh, everything's fine. I'm about to go into a recap, babe. I can't look at you dancing, all right? Lots of folks are confused. He's not chilling for Xbox. He's laying out the next direction for Game Pass. Thank you. That's what I'm trying to say is these are things they could do to make a change. So, my wife came in and distracted me. This is what I think they could do. Couple it with when the price goes up. When the price goes up on Game Pass, what you would do is you would position this as adding perks and adding value, okay? Because I think people would bristle at the idea of saying, oh, why are you doing this, okay? And the first thing I outlined, let me go up in my show notes here and let me give you what I said. My first idea is you add a tier level or a perk level, or you just throw this in, okay? And you get 1 to 2 weeks of early access to the game if you purchase it, and you get that discount. And the reason I think this would work is right now when you go to the game, it's like install the game or buy it. Who on earth is going to pick buy it when you can just install it, right? That's one of the perks for Game Pass is day and date, day and date, day and date. Get the games day and date, okay? That would stay intact. But what you would see is, oh, as a Game Pass subscriber, I get the game at 10% off, and I can play it a week or two before everybody else. Not only would this appeal to the people who have Game Pass, and what you would start to do is, this is brilliant, you take your existing Game Pass subscriber base, and you start marketing to them, right? You're motivating them to buy games. Because right now, according to the documents submitted to the CMA, Game Pass is having a declining effect on game sales, and I think that needs to be rectified. I can't see Microsoft looking at that and saying, that's fine. What you would also do is, you'd be marketing to the people outside of Game Pass. I've already had multiple people this morning that said, if they did that, I would sign up for Game Pass. Why? Because they buy games. There are tons of people right now that would say, I buy games. I don't like Game Pass. I've had people say this in my stream. I don't like Game Pass. I don't. I like to own my games. I like to buy my games. You actually don't own the game. You're just paying for a license, but that's another debate. You don't own your digital games. I hate to break it to you. This was alarming for me a couple of months ago when I learned that I actually don't own almost any of the games that I download digitally, but that's a whole nother subject. So there are many people that would say that. They would say, I like to buy games. I don't like to borrow them on Game Pass. And so they would say, if I sign up for Game Pass for $10 a month and I buy games all year round, you're telling me I could get them at a discount and you're telling me that I get in early? Well, that's worth it. At $10 a month, you got to figure, games are about to be $70, right? So if you get 10% off, you get $7 off that game purchase. And if Game Pass is $10 a month, you calculate it and you say, if I'm buying roughly one game a month, Game Pass is really only costing me $3 because I'm getting the 7 off of the purchase, and then Game Pass costs me 10. I'm basically paying $3 for Game Pass, and that $3 gets me in the game 2 weeks early. Woo! Why would somebody say that? Because that's somebody who's regularly buying games. It's a different mentality for somebody regularly buying games. You already get 20% off? Yes, but right now, I'm not talking about what you're already getting. I'm talking about fostering an ecosystem and a culture of spending. Nobody's pressing that button. Why? You don't have to. When you load up a game right now that's on Game Pass, it's like, install it or buy it. Who in the frick is going to buy it? You can just click install it. You'd have to be crazy. You'd have to be nuts. I like giving money away, and you just throw money at them? No, you would install it. That's why it's having a declining effect on sales. Hang on, somebody did a $5 super chat tip on YouTube. Imagine Hogwarts Legacy on Game Pass. It would have hurt sales significantly, wouldn't be fair to the developers, and did so much work on the game. Well, but they would come back and say, Ems, Microsoft responded to this headline about this. There's an official statement from a Microsoft spokesperson, and they said, hey, you right now are not looking at the full scope of the situation. We have custom plans with developers. We take care of the developers. Developers get custom-made plans. We want developers to be able to have like a... they need to be able to maximize the financial value of being on Game Pass. They're doing this right now. The base game is free, Game Pass, but pay an extra $27 and play for 4 days early. Paul, I really want you to wonder sometimes if you... I'm curious, do you think you're educating me right now? Do you think that's new information? Do you think that's going to suddenly change my entire 11-page document that I typed up yesterday? Like, I didn't know that! That was included in my open, brother. You're not educating me. My idea is literally built off of that. The idea that they're already doing it right now. This would be a significantly different place. Why lock the early access to Game Pass? You're right there. You're right there, Paul, because they need to evolve Game Pass to be something that promotes purchase. Right now, it's antithetical to purchase. He never suggested locking it? No, I actually said this should be a part of Game Pass. If you're on Game Pass, you get a discount. And I'm saying you throw in like a week or two early access. That's my point. Like, they're already doing it, Paul. The frog is already in the water and the temperature's already going up. People would not bristle at this. They're already doing it. They're doing it with Redfall. They did it with Forza. I included that in my show open. It's literally what the idea was born out of. This guy seems to be doing you a favor. Passive aggressive with no true points. Relax a little. I don't know who you're talking to. This idea wouldn't work. Microsoft and Bethesda do a bad job of releasing polished games. They'd have to crunch hard and stress devs to have a game available weeks earlier. How much discount? 10%. 10% off of a $70 game is $7. That's a real winning argument to somebody. If you're not currently on Game Pass and you're going to be buying a game for $70 and you're like, wait, I could grab Game Pass for 10. I get 10% off the game. That saves me 7. That means I'm really only spending 3 on Game Pass, and then I get to play the game 2 weeks early. Oh, and let me push back on what Andrew Wilkins is saying. This is the 900 IQ play, Andrew. See, you're imagining that Microsoft would go to the devs and say, we need to put the game out 2 weeks early for Game Pass. No. The release date... the release date would be pushed back 2 weeks and you just wouldn't know it. Right now, there's no release date for Starfield. We don't know what the release date is, correct? Correct? We don't know. So what would they do? They would say, all right, the release date is the last week of October. But Game Pass, if you're on Game Pass and you buy the game, you can play it 2 weeks early. Yes. Well, that 2 weeks early is the real release date. You want to force them other sales into Game Pass. Can't gift from my phone, but here you go, sir. Thank you, Alex, for a $10 tip through Super Chat. Somebody gift members to make Alex feel good about the fact that he can't do it. Oh yeah, by the way, somebody was watching me over here on the Tickety Talk that was like, I watched you back in the day on Destiny. You can find me on YouTube at Reforge Gaming. We stream there every day as well as over here on the Tick. Thank you again, though, for the $10 tip, Alex, through Super Chat. Welcome to the stream. So funny watching this guy. See, the interesting thing to me is you guys are talking about me as if, like, what, like I'm not here or something. Or, like, are you going to make points and arguments, or are you just going to take swipes at me? Like, taking swipes at me is easy. It's weak. It's anti-intellectual. You're not, like, arguing with the points that I'm making. By the way, I'm just suggesting ways that Game Pass could evolve. I don't know why it hurts you guys' fifis so much. It's like, no, Game Pass can't change. Like, what's the problem? Like, if suddenly Game Pass changed and had all these perks for purchase, how does that affect you? Why is that a problem? Why is that upsetting for you? Why is it causing you emotional distress to the point of insulting a person? Like, that's the real question. Like, are you that insecure that somebody speaking about something that you like, Game Pass, causes you to, like, get riled up and lash out and say mean things about a person? Like, it doesn't make any sense. I've made good points here before and gotten muted. Oh, you're ban evading. Now I understand why you're in here saying nasty things. Cool. Unbelievable. With Microsoft having so many development teams, do you think they should switch to first party and day and date only? Well, no. I don't think they should do that, Jedi Johnny. No. Listen, if you make the point that I've been trying to drive home, I see your 10 and I lower it. Brian M with a 2 spot through Super Chat. That's hilarious. This is what I'm talking about. If you create something that makes a culture of spending endemic to Game Pass, that would be the 900 IQ play. Do you see what I'm saying? If you have people that are both buying your subscription service and being motivated to buy games, and your customer base that likes to buy games is suddenly convinced that Game Pass is a good deal, that's a really, really intelligent business strategy. Like, I think people, listen, I really do truly mean this. I think some of you guys have gone so full fandom, you make yourself dumb. Like, you don't think beyond, nope, Game Pass is fine, Xbox is God, and Phil Spencer's really attractive. Like, you can't think beyond that. Trying to make stuff more expensive? No, it wouldn't make stuff more expensive. Because in my strategy idea that I've outlined, you could just stay on Game Pass and continue to play games day and date and not buy them. That would stay intact. It wouldn't cost you a single cent more. Now, the subscription service are going to go up in price. I'm not advocating for that. I'm just saying that's coming. I know I talk fast, but I never said they should really raise the price of Game Pass. I said Game Pass price will increase. Subscription services, their prices are going up. So if you're going to make changes to Game Pass, one of the best times to do it is when you have to raise the price. That's what I said. If you want to repackage it to be like, you're advocating for a price increase. No, I'm not. You're struggling to grapple with what I've said. I've not said that at all. Game Pass would be bad even with Sony and Nintendo's catalog and day and date. That is an illogical statement. Game Pass would be bad even if you had every single game in the world on it. You sound dumb, bro. Like, that's just a dumb thing to say. Like, you sound like an anti-Xbox fan. Like, you don't sound like somebody who's thinking clearly. So right now, if you could spend $10 or $15 a month and have all of Sony's catalog and all of Nintendo's catalog, you're like, yeah, it'd still be bad. You sound like a moron. Like, that would be an amazing deal. Like, it would be highway robbery. Somebody would be like, this can't be real. We have to be breaking a law somewhere. This can't be a real deal. So yeah, I'll concede on a 10-hour game trial. 10 days early could happen like EA Play. Access the full game weeks early. I'm against 100%. It's bad for gaming. Explain why that's bad for gaming, Paul. If it's okay for, like, 72 hours is fine. Why does 10 hours suddenly create a bad for gaming mentality? You think Game Pass is good for gaming right now as it drives game prices, as it drives game sales down and creates an ecosystem and culture of people who don't think they should have to buy games? You think that's good for gaming? Cost of making games versus sub price, they wouldn't make money. Oh, that's what you're saying. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, that would be that would be an amazing deal. Well, of course, you're stating something that's so blatantly obvious. Well, yeah, it would still be a bad idea if they dumped more games on it. Well, yes, it would be a bad business venture to suddenly put like Sony and Nintendo's catalog on there as well, right? You went crazy on me just now? Saying that you sound dumb or saying that you sound like a moron, if that's me going crazy on you, then the internet might be not the best place for you. 24 months from Jaja Church. Heck yeah, highlighted chat, Game Pass rules, Lono drools, roasted, bleed green. Thank you, Jaja Church. What you were saying is offer everything you get now, and then when the price goes up, offer 1 week early access at the increased price. Added value to justify the price increase. That's literally, yes, what I've been saying, Butters. Yes. That's precisely what I've been saying. Listen, you know you're going to have to raise the price of Game Pass, right? It's coming. When that happens, you could foster an ecosystem of purchase within your Game Pass consumer base by saying, hey, you can buy all these great games and get a discount and play them a week early. You wouldn't convince all 25 million Game Pass subscribers to buy the game. but there's a percentage that would. And there's also a percentage of people who right now are like, I don't do Game Pass. I like to buy my games. And you know what they would say? That's a good deal. I buy games all the time. Getting them at a discount and getting them early, that's worth $10 a month. You see, what you would be doing is you would be marketing to a broader spectrum of consumer with incentivizations to purchase that currently don't exist. There's no incentivization to purchase a game when you're on Game Pass. Well, you get a discount. Why does that matter if you can install the game and play it for free? Why does it matter? You have to incentivize the transaction. Why would I buy that game? I can install it. I'll tell you why you'd buy the game. You get in a week before everybody. I'd make it 2 weeks, personally. I'd make it 2. It's bad for gaming because it's fake value. That's subjective to you. That's just your opinion. It's not fake value. Getting to play something early is real value. You want to know why? People pay for it all of the time. All of the time. Are you kidding me? Eugene says, I feel like Hogwarts Early Access was great for gaming. It forced an early embargo lift, great value to Deluxe, gave people on the fence a full week of info coming from gamers before release. So how is Early Access bad? That's a dunker. That's a slam dunk. That's exactly right. It was 72 hours. Okay, who cares? What's the difference? Paul, you have to substantiate why an increase in early access becomes bad. Substantiate that. Do it. Your position is that 72 hours of early access is totally fine, but 1 to 2 weeks of early access, absolutely not. That's absurd. Okay, but EA does it with 10 days. It's not the full game, though. Okay, substantiate why doing it earlier with the entire game is bad for gaming. You got to substantiate that position. I've not been compelled yet to see a flaw in the idea. It's like, this would motivate people to buy the dadgum game. Paying for early access is not valuable to me? No, some people would simply ignore it and just play it day and date on Game Pass, Rob. Don't you see the beauty in the strategy? Right? It's fake value when they can take games away at any time. This is why I own only. No. It wouldn't be fake value for you. Don't you see? You would buy the game at a discount. You'd get in 2 weeks early. And if they take it off of Game Pass, it doesn't matter. You bought it. It doesn't matter. You bought the game. People pre-order for early access. Game Pass with it and a discount's a great idea. You have to see what this would do. It hits every person. You're like, I don't like buying games. No worries. No worries. Play it day and date on Game Pass. The release date's in 2 weeks. See you then. Oh, and guess what? In that 2-week period, you can check out reviews. You can check out YouTubers and streamers, people that are willing to jump in early, and you can know that game is worth my time. I'm going to install that one. Right? Oh, that looks good. This guy that I really trust says it's a lot of fun. Oh, this guy that I really trust, he put out a really good starting guide, what to do in the beginning. Right? Like, it benefits everybody. It benefits the people who regularly purchase games. It benefits the people who are already on Game Pass, because let's just say that there's only 1 or 2 games in the year that you'd be willing to do that on. And the rest of the games you just play day and date. You're like, oh, that's an indie title. Oh, that's a title I'm not really fond of or I've not heard of before. I'll just try it. But maybe there's 1 or 2 games a year that you're like, brother, I'm buying that game. I'm jumping in day one. Oh, I love those games, right? It hits everybody in a subjective spectrum of value transmission of, if you don't want to spend a dime on games, keep doing you, boo-boo. Just stay on Game Pass and install the games as soon as they launch. But for everybody else that lives on a different spectrum than you, that might want to buy a game or might be a huge fan of this, imagine if Hogwarts Legacy would have done that. Like, now, Hogwarts Legacy couldn't have done that because this would primarily be games that are first-party to Xbox. Right? Because if you're out there on every single platform 2 weeks early, oh my gosh, think about that. I didn't even think about that until just now. Think about that. Hey, your game's gone gold, yeah? Could you have a version ready 2 weeks early? Yeah? Could you have a version ready 2 weeks early if we write you a fat check? Suddenly, a multi-platform game is on Game Pass 2 weeks ahead of everybody else, as long as you're willing to buy it. Are you seeing the dollar signs now? Are you seeing the potential competitive edge? Microsoft could start throwing those big fat checks around to be on Game Pass and do it in a way that undercuts their competitors. Suddenly a third-party game is on Game Pass before everybody else, and all you got to do is buy the game, baby. And you're not just buying the game, you're buying the game at a discount. Woohoo, bleed green, I love Phil Spencer. Come on. Exactly, Spinius. It's like a really short window of exclusivity, baby. It's like, oh, yes. We're buying $70 demos. Well, no, you'd get the full game. You'd get the full game. Think about how winsome that would be. Microsoft likes to write fat checks to be on Game Pass. Hey, can you give us a week early? We'll market it. We'll put out the trailers on our channels. We'll help you guys with the marketing. You know, we'll do this and this and this, and we'll give you this fat check, and it's going to land on Game Pass a week early, only for people who buy it. And the developer goes, 25 million people will have our game thrown in their face at a discount a week before it comes out. And we get a fat check from Microsoft. Ooh, this could be good. We could make a ton of money. Lona, did you share some of your ideas for Game Pass? I just heard the opening and then I got busy. I mean, one of my ideas I'm kind of massaging right now is the idea that if you're a subscriber to Game Pass, you'd be able to buy games at a discount and play them like a week or two early. I'm noticing more and more there's a lot of members on this channel, which speaks volumes. Nice. Thank you. I appreciate that. You'll notice down in the corner, we've already gotten 42 new members today. That's virtually all gifted. So we have a very generous community here. I would prefer more people start jumping in and doing a membership all on their own. It makes space for the people that can't afford a membership, right? Basically, get out of the pool of people that might get a gifted. Buy your own for $5. It covers you for the full month. You get into behind-the-scenes streams with my wife. You get into my members-only Discord. You get all this stuff. The Friday night streams with my wife are hilarious. So if you can afford it and you watch my content regularly, $5 is that's for the whole month. And you get a badge. You get emotes. It's pretty dope. People who have been gaming for this long don't need things like Game Pass. I love Game Pass because I get to games and live. Like, what I'm essentially saying, but wasn't paying for exclusivity bad, according to Microsoft? Lona trying to get a job at Microsoft. No, I'm not. My antitrust senses are itching. I need to figure out why. Yeah, my question would be, Zubair, how is it any different than when they've done things like that before? Haven't there been times where you could play a game earlier or get access to something earlier on a platform? Like, how is that any different than 6 months or a year of early access? Tomb Raider. Was it antitrust when they paid Tomb Raider a fat check and you could only play that second Tomb Raider game on Xbox for a whole year? We're talking about 2 weeks. We're talking about 2 weeks. And it's part of a subscription service. It's not even like a first party. It's not even a third party exclusive window. It's, oh, this is a perk of our subscription service. It's forcing the subscription purchase that bothers me. EA Play does it right now. Yo, what's good, Brown Excellence? If you have EA Play, Zubair, you can play their games like a week early, and it's only 10 hours, but you can still play it a week early, and you can buy the game at a discount. It's very similar. This is a slight alteration of that idea. You have separate cultures in gaming now, those who only know online and those that have owned always. Here's the thing, though. Even if you're rigid in your conviction and you only buy games physically, a lot of those games now have to do some kind of an online license check. You don't actually own the game. The disc is just the install. You're still agreeing to like a license to play the game. You don't actually own it. Does that make sense? It's a big debate right now. I don't want to have the debate right now about, you know, digital media ownership. What is it? It's non-existent. You don't really own anything digitally. You can't even will your iTunes collection to somebody. When I die, I bequeath my iTunes music collection to my beautiful daughter. You can't do that. You can give her the password, but that's not, you're not willing it to her. She doesn't own it any more than you. She has the password. Game Pass wasn't useful to those of us who are completely hooked on a single game, such as Hogwarts and when GTA 6 releases. We only have so much free time. Officer Brooks, yes. That's the thing, right? You have to think about something. There are plenty of people like that they like buy 1 or 2 games a year. Now, track with me here, okay? You only play 1 or 2 games a year, and you're a real big fan. Let's say you're a huge Harry Potter fan. Imagine how many Game Pass subscribers. Seriously. Imagine how many Game Pass subscribers would have bought Hogwarts at a discount if they could play it 2 weeks early or a week early. Imagine. Look, all you have to do, this is so easy. This is so easy to demonstrate what I'm talking about, okay? And it's, thank goodness for Hogwarts, right? Hogwarts Legacy was breaking records on Steam and climbing the Steam charts when it was in early access for 72 hours. And the only reason that those numbers were that high was because millions of people bought the deluxe edition. They willingly paid more money for some pretty outfits and 72 hours of early access. That shows you the power of fandom and the power of letting people in early. When you have titles like that, brother, people will spend money to get in ahead of everybody else. We've talked about this before with Diablo. I couldn't remember what game we were talking about. Diablo, remember that was a huge problem. People were like, oh, you're going to be able to get into Diablo 4 early, and you're going to be able to beat people in the races early. Remember that? People will 100% pay to get in early. Does that not normalize higher game prices? I mean, game prices are going up to 70 no matter whether or not we like it or not. That's happening. I'm not talking about normalizing higher game prices. That's happening. I'm talking about Microsoft strategizing and planning to position Game Pass to be more of a culture of purchase than it is right now. Right now, it is antithetical to purchase. So to clarify something, in your model, are there deluxe editions outside of Game Pass that allow early access? It would depend, Zubair. It would depend. Yeah, probably still. Yes. Somebody could say, I don't want to do Game Pass, but I'll buy the deluxe edition. Well, you only get in 72 hours then. Okay. You don't get in a week or 2 early. Right? Oh, yeah, I bought the deluxe edition on the PlayStation. Yeah, I don't want Game Pass. I don't have an Xbox. They would get early access. It just wouldn't be as significant. I don't think you would cannibalize that as a market motivator right now. By the way, if you're just tuning in, thank you so much. YouTube numbers are bonkers. We must have gotten put somewhere. A ton of people coming in. If you've never been here before, welcome to Reforge Gaming, a daily gaming talk show. I keep it safe for work. People throw me on in the background like a podcast or a radio show because I keep it safe for work. It's highly interactive. Highly debate, discussion oriented. I'm also streaming over here on the Tickety Talk. You guys get ignored sometimes. I know I've got almost 600 people watching on YouTube, and that chat buzzes. It's hard for me to balance both, but I appreciate the support either way. I appreciate almost 5,000 likes over here on the Tickety Talk. Let's set our sights on 400 likes on YouTube. That would be massive. Prediction when the price will increase? Second half of this year. I think they want to get Starfield out the door before they raise the price of Game Pass. Because they're raising the price on Redfall and Starfield to $70. I think they're going to wait on Game Pass. I think they want to wait. Game Pass has benefits, one-and-done gamers at the end of the day, and achievement hunters. You use 16 to keep my games installed, and you have to put it on your internal, so it doesn't matter. Not every game works like that, though. Are you pushing back on the notion that you don't own some of your games? You don't own all your games. I got news for you. Even my PlayStation periodically is like, hey, you need to connect to the internet. We have to verify the license of this game. I don't own those games. I have a license to play them. Actually shocked you're not at 100,000 subs yet. I'm glad we're not at 100,000 subs yet because meteoric growth is very dangerous. Slow growth like we've experienced is far better and it's stronger, right? Very strong. I saw a guy on Twitter, it's like, he's never going to make it to 100K. I was like, watch me. I was like, I'm going to frame that. I'm going to print that tweet out and frame it. How much does PS Plus Premium cost now? 15 a month? I don't know. Is it 15 a month? I get lost in all the pricing structures because you could pay for a whole year and then you couldn't or something. You could pay for a whole year Game Pass and now you can't or something. It's 120 for the year. Yeah, it's like 10 for the year, but I think if you do it month to month, it's 15 or something. 120 for the year, people are saying. Now I got somebody saying 150 annually. I think it's 150 annually if you literally just pay month to month, but if you pay for the full year, don't they give you a discount? They drop it down to 10 a month or something. I'm purely digital because I can't find a disc drive. I converted to purely digital a long time ago. It's 10 a month if you buy the whole year. Okay. Slow growth is stronger just like Game Pass. No, wait. 100,000 subscribers of the Starfield release date officially announced. Which will be first? Yo, Alex with the $2 super chat tip. Thank you so much. Happens to me all the time. With my S in hotels. What? What are you talking about? Thank you for the $2 tip, though, by the way. Yeah, I mean, it's $120 before sales tax. I mean, you're going to have to pay the sales tax. Every time my daughter buys something, she looks at me and she's like, do I have to pay the taxes? And I'm like, yes, you do. Like, she wants me to pay the taxes for her. She has it in her mind that, like, this item is $7. And I only want to pay $7. And I want you to pay for the taxes, Papa. Because she only wants, you know, her $20 in her mind, right? She's actually pretty good at math. She's like, in her mind, she's like, okay, 7, I got 20, I'll 13 left. Yeah, you pay the taxes. It's kind of adorable. It's kind of adorable. I normally just take to a hotel, never thought of a Series S. Oh, Hilly. A 2-spot. Oh, you need internet to play. Right. Yeah, Series S does the same thing, doesn't it? Do you think Phil Spencer needs to be replaced? I want to take the conversation there. I don't think Phil Spencer needs to be replaced. I don't like brigading for somebody to lose their job. I think sometimes it's obvious that somebody's not doing a good job, right? I did that with some CMs. There were some community managers at a company. One of them's gone. I think all of them need to be gone. And it's based on their public behavior and performance. Like, you're really bad at your job. But generally speaking, I don't like to do that. But what I would like to do is discuss Phil Spencer's comments in 2018. I want to know what you guys think. I really do. What do you think about what he said in 2018? This man says, this is a direct quote. He says, when you put a game like Forza Horizon 4 on Game Pass, you instantly have more players of the game, which is actually leading to more sales of the game. And he says, well, you might say, well, isn't everyone just going to subscribe for $10 to play this thing? But no. Gamers find things to play based on what everybody else is playing. I want to know what you guys think of that. That statement did not ring true in the last 5 years, according to Microsoft's own documentation. And even if you just go back in time and you read it at face value, it doesn't make any sense. You can't compare 2018 to 2023. Why not? Is there an invisible wall preventing me from doing so? He's telling the truth that time. Forza Horizon reaches 10 million players. How does substantiating his claim that it increased sales by showing how many people played the game? Those two are not related, Paul. Those two are not related. Best-selling game in Playground's racing series achieves milestone 8 months after launch. Best-selling game. How many copies did they sell? How many copies did you sell? I don't care that you have 10 million players. Also, that headline and that subtext Could be wrong. It sold more than 3. Okay. That doesn't make his statement true. Oh, Eugene just found his receipt. There is no tax. It's not a good, it's a service. Yeah, there's no tax on the PS Plus premium for a year. Today's a new season of MW2. Feel bad for anyone who bought the Vault Edition. Forza Horizon 4 is the fastest selling entry in the series yet. Oh, okay. Okay. And you think that correlation with Game Pass is a causative reality? You think that's a causative reality? So at the time, Phil was talking about this. Right, but there's no way to substantiate that's causation, right? Oh, Forza Horizon 5 is the fastest selling entry in the series yet. Okay, you want to attribute that to Game Pass? Is there anything there that states it's because of Game Pass? How do we know? And also, was Forza Horizon 4, was it on Game Pass at launch, would be the other question. Going by Digital Foundry, it should be falling off by 80%. Yeah, but that was a speculation they made at the end of 2022. When did Game Pass launch? Where did Game Pass launch? You can't compare 2018 to 2023. Where do you think they got the data to submit and say that Game Pass lowers sales? Right. It was in 2018. Is that when they launched Game Pass? Seriously? Well, there you go. I'll grant the point, Paul. I'll grant the point. Forza Horizon 4 sold like crazy around the same time that Game Pass launched. Fast forward 5 years, Game Pass is having a decline on game sales. How the mighty have fallen. Right? Even if I grant your point, Paul, it honestly makes Game Pass worse. Forza Horizon 5 sold even more than 4. How does that have any relation to Game Pass, though? Like, a sequel selling more than the previous title? Like, what? That doesn't substantiate that Game Pass is increasing sales. Listen, you're cherry picking, Paul. They literally go to the CMA and they say, Game Pass is having a decline in sales. You're going back and grabbing correlating data to try to create a false narrative. So did they lie to the CMA? I guess they went and lied to the CMA. We're going to use Forza Horizon 5. We're going to draw a bunch of correlating data to argue causality and then say, oh no, yeah, sales are going up from Game Pass. So they lied to the CMA then. Can't go back to 2-year-old data to disprove a claim made 2 months ago. It lowers sales by around 15%. I've not thrown out a number. I made sure in my show open to say that the 80% number thrown out by Digital Foundry is speculation. I said that in the open. I said people are throwing around the 80% number, and that number is not verified. It isn't. It's a speculative number thrown out by Digital Foundry. I said that in my show open. I've not been throwing around the 80% number. I've intentionally avoided throwing around the 80% number because I think that people are throwing that around, you know, as if it's a fact, and it's not. We don't know what it is. We don't know if it's accurate. We don't know if it's way out in left field. We don't know if it's even in the ballpark of what's actually going on. We're getting a huge suggest rate today. If you clicked on my video because it was recommended to you today over here on YouTube, I appreciate you doing that. Hit subscribe, hit the bell button. Thanks for all you do. I hope you're enjoying the conversation. Stick around. If we get a few more members, I'm going to owe you guys 10 members at the end of the stream. I would totally believe that the behavior of the Game Pass early adopters is different than the behavior of the modern mature users. Right, like, listen to what Phil Spencer said, and then listen to what they said to the CMA, okay? So let's say that when Game Pass came out, it seemed as if there was a causal relationship between tons of people are playing Forza Horizon 4 and then tons of people are buying it. There's a causative relationship here. This is great, right? Fast forward 5 years and they're like, yeah, I think we might have been incorrect in our projections. It's causing a decline in sales, not an increase in sales. I have not once indicated that he was telling a lie. I asked people what they thought about what he said. I said, what do you guys think of what he said? And even if you read it at the time at face value, it seems too good to be true. It does. He literally says, isn't everybody just going to subscribe for $10 to go play this thing? He says, no, gamers find things to play based on what everybody else is playing. He literally puts out a more economic, more frugal approach to playing Forza by not buying it in his retort. Like, in his retort, he quite literally says, yeah, no, you might think that people would do that they would just sign up for Game Pass for $10 to avoid buying the game, and then they could cancel. No, man, they're not doing that. Yeah, well, fast forward 5 years and the consumer takes a path of least resistance. The consumer, like water, it's instinctive in human nature to take the path of least resistance. They start weighing it and they're like, the game is $60, Game Pass is $10. I'm no mathematician, but I can sign up and cancel at any time. So, naturally over time, game sales are going down, which is literally the point of today's stream. Like, I think they need to change. I think they need to evolve. I think Game Pass can continue being an amazing value to the consumer while also fostering an ecosystem of purchase. Game Pass dropped in 2018. Gaming revenue generated by Microsoft from fiscal. Okay, so they're generating more gaming revenue. You're not engaging with what they went to the CMA with. Oh, you're responding to a question. What I want to know is how Microsoft game profits have changed with Game Pass. We only hear about sales. Okay, here's the problem though, Rob. If you look at that chart that Paul just put in the Discord, you can't look at that chart and ignore how much they're spending. They acquired Bethesda, and they're trying to acquire Activision Blizzard. So it's great that revenue is up, but they're also spending a ridiculous amount. And with the current Game Pass information that we have, and them saying that Game Pass is only going to account for 15% of the annual gaming revenue, it stands to reason that they need to start thinking about recouping costs on investments, and Game Pass ain't it. You can't tell the regulators that Game Pass is going to be 15% of your annual generated revenue for the gaming division of Microsoft and then turn around and say, oh, that's how we're going to recoup our costs on all these massive purchases. No, the way to recoup costs on massive purchases and massive investments has been proven and is demonstrable in the industry right now. What do? Look at publisher relationships with games. The publisher fronts all the money, and the way they make the money back, and the way to generate the most money, to generate, profit margins on the big investment is what? To sell the game. To sell deluxe editions, to sell spiffs, to sell incentives. So all of that's baked into my argument of like, yeah, I think Game Pass needs to change. It's not bad, it's not evil. It doesn't need to be jettisoned into the stratosphere, right? But I think it needs to adapt and change. Revenue is just flow, though, right? Not profits. Correct, Rob. If operating costs have gone up or mushroomed to insanely high numbers, because their operating costs have to be included in the idea that they bought Bethesda for a chunk of change. Like, they're trying to buy Activision Blizzard for a mountain of change. So that has to be considered. You have to consider like operating costs and spending is seemingly up for Microsoft. So, their number of jobs has gone up year over year. We just had this discussion a while ago when we talked about layoffs. Someone's like, "Oh well, look, they doubled their workforce over the last how many years?" All that's operating costs going up. So look at the percentage of revenue generation growth and then look at the percentage of jobs they've increased and compare the two. If your operating costs have gone up, if your number of employees has gone up by like 200% and your revenue's gone up by 50%, I would think that might be a little worrying, unless the revenue going up by 50% is overshadowing the operating costs going up by hiring people, because the cost of paying those people, onboarding them, health insurance and everything else is significantly lower than the revenue increase. Those percentage points could be misused. You could say, oh, well, they only increase their revenue by 50% and they increase how many people work for them by 200%. Well, yes, but when you actually add up the total cost of those 200% increase of employees against the 50% revenue increase, you could say, well, they're actually generating more revenue than they're spending. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying that. What I am saying is there is an indication that their operating costs have gone up. Way more people hired, way more people working for them, and the acquisitions. Is it just me, or does he sound like Colin Coward Light? I'm not sure who that is. In that case, I retract my previous statement. I apologize. I am so sorry. I'm totally ignoring you guys over here. Part of the problem is people play games like Forza 5 and realize it's not worth buying. One of the things I said in my show open was, if you suddenly made game trials endemic to Game Pass, and you slowly started saying, we have more trials than new games. You would have to do it slowly. I bet you a lot of people wouldn't notice. Do you want to know why? I bet you a lot of people would say, that doesn't bother me. Most of the games I only play for an hour, 2 hours, maybe 3, and then I walk away. Colin Cowherd is a Fox Sports radio host. You don't sound like him at all, says Sven. And this guy's saying he does kind of sound like him. I've never heard of him. I don't follow sports radio. He's a massive sports radio personality. Oh, okay. With all those jobs, where are the games? I want to be careful. Microsoft has increased their employee count significantly over the last 10 years. That's not just the gaming division. That's Microsoft corporate. That's everybody. That's people in their software division, their marketing division, support division. Like, that's everywhere. So a lot of people were looking at the layoffs and saying, oh my gosh, they're laying off all these people. And some people say, well, yes, look how much they mushroomed the employee base. Obviously, you're going to have to shrink a little bit when you continue to have year over year growth of employment. Eventually, you're like, yeah, we got to get rid of some redundancies here. We're about to go into maybe a recession. Never heard a gaming channel talk more about finances more. The biggest issue Microsoft has with Xbox is that the vast majority of Xbox owners don't like Xbox first-party games. What are you talking about? Many admit that because they only buy Xbox to be part of the Xbox crazy community. I don't think that position is one you can substantiate. I don't think that's true at all. Xbox owners love first-party games from Xbox. You should see the way people defended Halo. You should see how crazy people went over Hi-Fi Rush and High on Life, and those aren't even first-party titles necessarily. Hi-Fi Rush was, but High on Life wasn't. I don't think so. Wasn't that a limited-time exclusive? Colin also loves saying, I told you so. Hey, I've tried to avoid that. I've tried to avoid doing too much I told you so's with my content lately. Game Pass doesn't offer me free gameplay, so that's a downside. Been playing Grounded lately? Yeah, Grounded is very popular. Yep. Xbox or Microsoft bought Activision. That's a plus. That hasn't gone through yet. I actually don't know if it's going to go through. Have you considered being wrong more often? Lono doesn't look or sound like Howard. I don't know what folks are hearing. Is it my voice cadence? Does he speak really quickly and very rapidly at times, like when he gets heated or something? Is it my voice cadence? I've had people tell me that I remind them of Ben Shapiro, and if you listen to Ben Shapiro and you listen to me, I think the rapid speech is what people are connecting. I don't sound like Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro talks like the most interesting aspect of this is that if you really consider the ramifications, like he's like way up there nasal. I have a slight northern nasal sound in my voice, but not like him. It's when he rants. The one benefit of exclusives is console makers fund the game. A lot of great games wouldn't have made it if they weren't console exclusives. That's true as well. I actually argue pretty strongly in favor of first-party exclusives. Right? I hate his voice. He sounds like a child. Yeah, I don't consume his content. I just get compared to him sometimes. Lona with the submodel says Russell Stewart, do you have a longer term or consistent customer though? Predictable revenue also. Seems like big corps would prefer predictable revenue over greater revenue if inconsistent. I mean, I hear what you're saying, right? Like residual, passive income is amazing. It really is. Like one of the things I would love with gifted memberships on YouTube is I would love when someone's gifted membership expires that it emails them and says, hey, did you like those perks? Did you like all the extra content? Here's a sampling of all the content you may have missed while you were a member of Reforge Gaming. Like show some of my most watched members only content like in an email and be like, would you like to continue your membership on your own? That would be amazing. That's a brilliant idea for YouTube. Like, just sample all of my members-only content and say, here's the most watched stuff this guy created for his members. You might have missed these videos. Would you like to continue your membership with Reforge Gaming? Effortless residual income are my 3 favorite words in business, says Creature. Because I think the biggest struggle we've been having is we get a ton of members. They're all gifted. They think, hey, that was awesome. That was swell. Thanks so much for doing that. And then it never asks them to subscribe. It never asks them to become a member. They just get to enjoy the perks for a month and then maybe get it again next month. So do you think a huge Xbox exclusive catalog is coming to Xbox within the next couple of years? I mean, I personally think that Microsoft's strategy with the Xbox Activision deal is they want to feed their first-party listing, right? Like, they want to feed their first-party listing. Must be a PlayStation fanboy. Imagine only playing on one console. If you're talking about me, I have every console. I have the Series X, I have 2 PS5s, I have a Nintendo Switch, and I have a gaming rig. I try to play everything that comes out that interests me. I don't care what the color of the box is. It doesn't bother me at all. I, for one, am looking forward to Starfield. That's one of my big games this year that I hope is amazing. Because I remembered enjoying Fallout 4, and I remembered enjoying Skyrim. Like, I'm hoping that they nail Fallout 4 Skyrim in space, because I think it could be amazing. As a huge Star Trek fan, I also think it could kind of emulate a Star Trek experience. But I think that's one of the reasons that Microsoft wants Activision Blizzard, because I think they want Game Pass will start to be more of a first-party funnel. Does that make sense? Like, you'll look at Game Pass, and it will be a first-party funnel. Boom, 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 boom. You know what I mean? I'm actually going to let this comment in chat because this guy got a gifted membership, and I'm going to let it in chat before I ban you because I don't want you to have access to content and I don't want you to be a member on my channel anymore. You milk subjects with zero content. That's an interesting take. You hate your fans. Another interesting take. Give me monies. Me want schmeckles. Sound like a spoiled brat complaining about gifted subs. Better content would yield more income. I would show you my dashboard to say that you're right. Better content does yield more income because it is, but you're not worth my time. I literally let your comment in chat to dunk on you, do a tiny flex, and then brush you off like a flea in the room that's annoying and a nuisance. YouTube kind of does that already. You get this when it runs out. Renew your membership again. Show them. Right, exactly, Barrier. Thank you, Alan Rogers, for gifting a membership. There, we just replaced the idiot we banned. Thank you very much. There you go. Took you to the curb where you belong with the trash, and we got somebody else in your place. Spinniest process, you just got a gifted member. Got no problem bouncing a badge for being an idiot. My point in bringing up gifted memberships on YouTube was simply to say you want people to see the value that they're getting. And I do truly think people that are on Game Pass, one of the reasons that they're out there just championing Game Pass, we joked about this the one day, right? People that are like, I can't wait to play that on Game Pass. They literally promote Game Pass like in their anticipation to a game, right? They'll promote Game Pass. Why do they do that? The reason they do it is because the value is so strong. Their like loyalty is also strong. Does that make sense? So the more they sense the value, the more they get loyalty out of that person. That's the point with Game Pass, is if you could make people feel like, here's an example. You want to know why the cable company is always trying to get you to get a phone? Because if you have more services to them, you're less likely to cancel, right? So if you have Game Pass because you get day and date, get early access, you get discounts, you get all these things, well, your loyalty would go up. You would be like, oh, this is amazing. This is great. I get to play games a week before everybody else. I get to buy games at a discount. It would even appeal to people. Like, here's the thing. Right now, I don't think Game Pass appeals to people who buy games. I don't. They look at it almost in a judgy way. They're kind of judgy about it. They're like, Game Pass? I buy my games. Like, they act like they're superior or something. Like, this would appeal to those people. Like, hey, you like to buy games, brother. This is a great deal. You get the discount. You get to play them early, right? This guy says, I don't know what's going on. All I did was come in here, and you're being really rude to people. I was clapping back on a troll, but if that's how you want to describe it, sure. It's always... I think that's one of my most... I think that's an interesting psychological study. I do. I would love for somebody to psychologically study it seems to me to be sheer idiocy, but I would love for this to be studied. Why is it that people think they can go into a stream or a person's Twitter feed and say mean, scathing, unkind, super judgmental things, and if that person responds in kind, they're the bad guy. They're the rude person. Like, I do. I want that just deep levels of idiotic thought analyzed to be like, why do you think that exactly? You know what I mean? It would be like mouthing off to somebody and getting punched in the mouth and being like, I can't, what's the matter with you? Like, you know what I'm saying? I want that analyzed. I do. I want them to figure out why people think that way. Well, public figures are just punching bags for my unresolved trauma and childhood issues that I haven't dealt with, so I lash out to people online, and if they stand up for themselves, then they're the real problem. They're just there for me to, deal with my frustrations in an unhealthy way. Lono is definitely the coward of gaming. I don't think so. Same reason they do it in the game, they're not good. I've just never understood that thought process. I'm not gonna lie, people whose primary game is I'm getting Game Pass and don't buy games, I look at them like a piece of my nose is turned up. That's what I'm saying. There are people, I don't turn my nose up to people who like Game Pass. It doesn't bother me at all. I don't care. Right? No, man. You do you, boo-boo. Like, I do it. Enjoy Game Pass. You know what I've told people before? I've told people before that at one level, you'd kind of be stupid, right? You'd kind of be stupid to not take advantage of Game Pass, right? It's such a good deal. And I'm speaking to specific people here, right? Like, if you're playing games constantly, if you're playing lots of games and you're constantly sampling games, or you've got kids or something, like, I'll give you an example. My brother, I've got 3 nephews, right? Those 3 boys are always playing new games, always trying stuff out. Game Pass is such a great value to them. You'd almost kind of be dumb to not do Game Pass. You would. Like, so being judgmental about Game Pass, like, I get why people do it. They're like, I buy my games. But, like, at the same time, it's like, man, Game Pass is an amazing deal. Right? Connect your Steam account to PlayStation Network to unlock the Astra model 9 suit, Astra Model 14 suit, while your account remains connected. This can also be done later in the game menu. Really? Huh. I think I did. Oh, it's wanting me to do it. Yeah, so the Returnal thing is letting me connect. It's letting me connect my my accounts. That's interesting. I told it to trust this browser yesterday, and it's still making me do it again. Exactly. My kiddo goes through so many games. Game Pass is very optimal. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's such an amazing deal. You'd kind of be dumb to not take advantage of it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, rewards unlocked. Okay. Game data. No, don't share my data. Okay. Okay. I think it may have just crashed. Nope, it's good. I was like, oh no, it crashed. I'm booting up Returnal. We're gonna be checking out Returnal on PC today. I brushed up on it last night. It's compiling shaders right now. Not kind of dumb. It's not rational. Right. Cloud Play is goated. I think Cloud Play's got a long way to go, and I don't think it's. I really, really don't. Based on your current hardware settings, we recommend Epic graphics preset for balanced performance and visual quality. Okay. DualSense support. Okay. When you die in Returnal, you will always be returned to the crash site. They're explaining to people that it's a rogue. It's a rogue. Here's the thing with Cloud Play. I think xCloud's got a bright future, but I think the biggest thing they need is better internet infrastructure. Like, it's not their fault that... Like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do with the fact that, like, internet's, like, highly outdated everywhere? You know? They've oversold... They've oversold markets and neighborhoods. You know what I mean? Like, what are you going to do? To me, it's like field of view bias. Yeah, let's increase that. VSync on, yes. I'm going to lower that. Ray trace is off. Okay. Okay. I died in Returnal. I got sent all the way to the beginning. This game is broken. It literally in the start, it tells you that that's what's going to happen. It does. It's like, yeah, there's going to be a... you're gonna go back to the beginning. Can't believe how good it's optimized. Yeah, it seems to be running pretty well now. I think I'm going to take things down off of Epic down to high, because I am getting a few hitches here and there. Okay. We should be good to go. I'm just making sure it won't crash. I've had games crash before. By the way, people that have been playing Returnal, did they go back and add stuff? Did they go back and change rooms and stuff? Because, like, I saw the astronaut at one point yesterday, and I was like, what the frick? My whole body got covered in goosebumps, and I went up to where he was, and he was gone. And I was like, do you see the white shadow? I was like, oh my gosh. That's what it made me think of. I was like, oh my gosh. Game is so good. This game is so good. They added different rooms. I definitely was like, these are new rooms. I've never been here before. 100%. Returnal's one of my favorite games, so happy more people get to enjoy it. Yeah, we're going to be checking out the PC version in a little bit. The part about not buying vinyl makes you casual analogy. Right. I didn't call anyone a piece of crap. I said I look at you and is a difference than judging someone and actually calling someone that. Right, but here's the thing, Jay, right? I appreciated your candor, right? I appreciated your candor. Are you on Purple right now? I'm on YouTube. We stream full-time on YouTube. I do not stream on Purple. I appreciate your candor. There are people that look at people who use Xbox Game Pass, and they're like, yeah, I don't do that. I buy my games. Right? They 100% look sort of down on people that use Game Pass. It is, I'm telling you, it is a thing. It is. It's a thing. And I'm here to tell you, I'm just here to tell you that I get it. I understand why people do it. I totally do. I think those same people would be convinced that, like, hey, it's probably worth it for me to, to get on Game Pass if it started offering something like discounts on games. I do. I think people would be won over by that. I think they would say, oh, that's a good deal. That's a great deal. I'm gonna get a discount on games. Let's go. Let's do it. I buy games all the time. I buy games on a regular basis. 388th like. Hey, get us to that 400 likes, guys. Y'all are the best. Y'all are the best. We've had a killer day and a killer conversation. We've talked about so many different things. If you guys have enjoyed the conversation, I hope you have hit subscribe so you're here for more of the coverage. We also typically do multiple shows a day, and today you're going to get gameplay. We typically are not really known as a gameplay channel, but we are wanting to check out, Returnal today because it is launching on PC. I actually think it stands to probably be more popular on PC. And this morning we were talking about why I think Xbox Game Pass needs to change. Even if you look at the Xbox Game Pass games that are currently offered, one of the things I argued was that they might actually make some changes in conjunction with when they raise the price. There's also the possibility that they could raise the price as well as make some changes around the time that Starfield launches. That could be a great time to say, hey, we need to reposition it. We need to reposition Game Pass. We need to reposition the way that it's handled. And wow, it did not like that. It did not like that. Holy crap, we just dropped frames. Me typically scheduling, I might have to start scheduling on my, if it's going to do that, I'll start scheduling on my gaming rig instead. YouTube did not like me doing that. It's never done that before. It must have been, yeah, we'll be doing Hogwarts today as well. People reviewing PC on a Steam Deck. Yeah, you shouldn't be able to do that. You shouldn't be able to do that. That doesn't make any sense. To review it, on a Steam Deck. That's not even remotely the same. It's not the same. We hit 400 likes. Let's go. Let's go. I appreciate you guys supporting the conversation so much. My favorite thing about today? My favorite thing is? We did not get bogged down into some weird, PlayStation versus Xbox thing. Did you guys catch that? It didn't happen. We did not get bogged down into this Sony, PlayStation, we had a couple people take little shots here and there, trying to indicate that I refuse to speak ill of Sony, right? I clapped that guy right on the mouth. I was like, nah, get out of here. That's not true, right? Returnal was made to be portable. Oh, that's one of their arguments? Yeah, you might be able to argue that because it's a Rogue, maybe you could argue that. Man, that'd be an amazing portable game, you know what I mean? All the trash has been banned. I don't know, maybe. I think that's because the Sony version is a bit convoluted. What measures would Microsoft have to make a good ROI on Game Pass? I outlined a variety of ideas. I think they could start to give you early access if you buy it. You buy the game at a discount. You can play it a week or two early. That would motivate both the people who have Game Pass to buy games, but it would also motivate people who regularly buy games to get on Game Pass because they'd get a discount and they'd get in early. I think they should consider adding game trials. I think that would be a really, really good decision, mainly because I think that is in line with the identity of Game Pass. Game Pass very much has an identity of, hey, you can try games, right? It has that vibe. It has that feel. Come play games. Come try games. That would stay intact with game trials. And then at the end, it would be like, hey, did you like this? You can buy this. Do you remember Xbox Arcade? That was like a thing in Xbox Arcade. You'd play a game. My wife and I did this all the time. You'd play a game, 30 minutes or so, and then at the end it'd be like, did you like this? And I could press a button to buy it. And the whole game was installed on my Xbox. So it wasn't suddenly like I was asked to wait while it installed. It was like, boom, unlocked, transaction complete, my game. It's my game now, I think those are two things they could try and consider to foster an ecosystem and a culture of purchase. Because right now, they've gone from, in 2018, oh wow, we're seeing an increase in game sales because a game's on Game Pass. That you could argue maybe they saw that with Forza Horizon 4. Maybe you could argue that. That it seemingly has had an opposite effect in the last 5 years, where they let you have 10-hour trials for newer games. Yeah, EA Play does that. EA Play already does something like that. That's right. Murph Dog says, as of late, you've been having more people come in and say something like, wow, you're rude to your viewers, rather than console fanboys. Oh, I think some of the people that have been doing that are on alts. Yeah. I think we've hit a big milestone of 25,000 subscribers, and I think some of the people that kind of watched from the corridors and fringes of the internet, hoping to see me fall. I think some of that's happening. I think they're like, oh man, that guy's still around. 25,000 subscribers. They clearly have unresolved emotional issues, and they're trying to take it out on somebody that, is living their life. Yeah, I thought the same thing, Mike Quad. It's purple snakes. It's the purple snake culture. It's sycophantic Destiny folks that are angry that I'm still around. They can't take it. The best way to do Game Pass is smaller games like Hi-Fi Rush, free on day one, and then have AAA games get a 3-hour demo and a percentage off the game, say 20% off the game when you buy it. Yeah, for sure. I think you've got to motivate people to say, hey, buying a game is a worthy endeavor, for sure. You were totally nice today? Yeah, I didn't feel like I got mean to anybody today. I just normal clapbacks on people being dumb. Jake says, how about this? Release some games worth buying. Just a thought. I see Madden, FIFA top 5 in sales year after year, but that game is on Game Pass. What gives? I think the reason that games like that still are high on sales year after year, Jake, is there are people that's the only game they play. So they buy it and that's it. So they don't have Game Pass. You know what I mean? I had no moments where I felt like I needed to ask if you were okay. Today was a good day. Thank you, Zubair. Why buy it if you can just rent it by having Game Pass? That's the real question, isn't it? Number 5. Why would I buy this if I have Game Pass? I think there are ways to incentivize people to buy games within Game Pass. You just have to position things properly. Love the content, Lono. Glad you cover a variety of topics. Make the morning portion of work better. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate that. Screw the haters, you rock. Thank you. I think it's a mix of old trolls and new viewers. I could see someone just tuning in and not liking the clapback. Yeah, I know. I try to do it infrequently because a new person might be like, who was he talking to? They don't know that some guy came in and said something nasty. That's always the dilemma as a streamer. If I clap back on this guy, a drive-by viewer is going to think that was really rude. But then I also think, if you're that easily dissuaded from watching me because I clap back on somebody, you probably wouldn't last here very long anyway. You know what I mean? I remember asking you a few years ago how long it would take for you to stabilize from purple when you first did YouTube. Do you think you are personally at that point now, both mentally and logistically? Mentally and psychologically, I'm in a much better place. I'm reading a book on forgiveness because I've got to work on that. You know, I don't think I've forgiven anybody from all of that. As far as logistically, no, we have not regained all the ground. We're very close to being able to say we're back where we were, but no, we're still at a negative. We're still in the red, in my mind. It just takes time. It just takes time. It took me 5 years to build that over there. I've been over here for 2.5. So in half the amount of time that it took me to build what I have on purple, in half that time, we are where we are right now, which I think is pretty good. What live streamers do y'all watch that never smack someone down? That's what I'm saying. Doesn't everybody do it a little bit? Doesn't everybody do it like a teeny bit, you know? I remember playing an old Madden game on PlayStation. Madden games nowadays are so broken, it's ridiculous. Yeah, I can't get into sports games. I've never been able to. Why incentivize them to buy the game? They will cancel the recurring revenue of Game Pass then. No, they wouldn't. No. You make Game Pass full of so many benefits, homie, that they would never want to cancel. They get the game on sale. If they buy it, they get it for early access. Maybe they don't want to buy it. Maybe the next game coming out's not that big on their radar. They can still play it day and date on Game Pass. You would have so many value points to Game Pass, they'd never leave it, but they'd also periodically buy games as well. You would be getting them from both ends. Some purple streamers permaban if you ask questions. Well, that's not surprising. PlayStation Plus game catalog lineup for February includes Forbidden West, The Quarry, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, and Borderlands 3. Ooh, that's big. Recurring revenue is what companies want. Right, but that's too simplistic. It's not just, oh, they want recurring revenue. It's, we want money, right? Like, yes, recurring revenue is desirable, but you have to look at it in a different way. The money that gets invested in a big piece of property like Starfield and the Bethesda acquisition, they don't want just reoccurring revenue to make up that investment. They want that game to sell well. You want every endeavor to be commercially successful. It's too unidimensional to be like, oh, yeah, we're doing great here with Game Pass. Well, no, you need a game to generate revenue and to be financially and commercially successful. Forbidden West exactly 1 year after release. Man, that sounds like... I've heard that before. Haven't you, Troll? Didn't somebody say that they would wait exactly 1 year to put a game on PlayStation Plus? I'm trying to think of where I heard that. It's hard for me to remember. It really is. I said that. There you go, Zubair. There you go, Zubair. That's me being smug. You get some smugness from me today. Yo, my man Tattoo says, not at your purple platform spot. Let me help with that. Thank you. That's 5 gifted members from Tattoos. That takes us to 48. Every 25 members, I have to give 5. I do it at the end of the stream to incentivize people sticking around. We're 2 away from 50. That 5 went to Perfect Storm Gaming, The Armchair Gamer, Fatboy Darts, LD Norden, and Dark Ops. Thank you very much. I appreciate that so much. I had Game Pass for 2 years. When it expired, I didn't renew it. It wasn't appealing to me to have access to games, but to never own them. And subconsciously, I didn't value right. So if they're never going to cancel Game Pass, why buy the game? It makes no sense. I've made it make sense. You're ignoring the sensibleness of it, right? They need profit. About to go to your YouTube. Yeah, you watch on YouTube, you might get a gifted member. Here's the thing. You're not listening. People would buy the game for the discount and the early access. People do that right now. Look at what happened with Hogwarts. Hogwarts Legacy was breaking records in its 72 hours of early access. Homie, people spend money for early access. They do it right now. People do it with EA Play, brother. They sign up for EA Play, and they get to play the game 10 days early for 10 hours. It's already a thing. It's already in the ethos and the ecosystem of gaming to be like, I'll pay for early access. I want to be in there first thing. It's already there. Yo, Sorcerer. Sorcerer's been so generous this month with gifteds, man. Thank you so much, taking us to 49 members on the day. And one from Lone Wolf. Lone Wolf's going to tag team right now. Nice tag team, nice layup. There's 50 members on the day, and Cool Breeze grabs that 50th member. There you go. There you go. I wonder where we are. Let me see where we are on the total member count. If we hit 2,000 members, we'll do another Star Wars watch party next month. We're all the way to episode 3 now. It's kind of like Riff Tracks or Mystery Science Theater. You queue up your movie and watch along with us. We are at 1963. We are 37 members away from getting back to 2,000 members. 37 members away. 2,000 is the watch party. 2,500 members is the triple header horror weekend where my wife and I play a scary game every night of the weekend for members. And then 3,000 members is a Just Dance stream. And I don't want to do a Just Dance stream. I already did one before. That's why I've raised that goal. We're really close to the first of the 3 milestones. Right, now you're not wrong, because you know people love playing a game early. It's because it's an addiction. When people get overhyped about a game, they think about it nonstop until they play it. And think about how that would make you feel as a Game Pass holder. Hey, man. As a Game Pass holder, you get to play the game early. You just got to buy it. I was encouraging the Lone Nostradamus prediction machine. Something like that, though DLC may change, because remember, co-development. Start the timer 6 months until PC. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I told y'all. PlayStation games, they'll hit PlayStation Plus a year later, and then 6 months after that, PC. 18 months. And I think Ragnarok might happen earlier than that. I think Ragnarok might land on PC even faster than that. Ragnarok might land on PC in the 13th month. Hey, it's December. It's cold out. Snow is falling. That's a great time for Ragnarok to land on PC, baby. I'm afraid to ask what 4,000 will get you to do. 4,000? I don't know. I have not taken my beard off in a really long time. You guys want that for 4,000? I won't do anything to my hair. The beard grows back pretty fast. Mustache? Okay, give me 1 second. Give me one quick second. If you guys are over here on the Tickety Talk, head over to YouTube, Reforge Gaming. I need to shut down the TikTok stream. I need my phone for something. Thank you so much for 5,000 likes. Y'all are the absolute best. Keep smashing the button over here. We've got 9 subscribers, 9 people paying to support us over here. If you want to keep watching me, the show's going to continue on Reforge Gaming over on YouTube. I need my phone. Shave everything? No, I'm not going to shave my head. 4,000 members to take the beard off. I think I could manage that. Guys, give me one second. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. My house is full of kiddos. So everybody had something to say. Everybody wanted a hug. It's fun. It's a lot of energy. A lot of very important things to talk about. So, house full of kiddos and friends and fun. And took me a little bit longer to get through the house and use the restroom and come back down. Thought you fell in? No. We've got some sweet kids in the house right now, and everybody's having a good time. So I always do my best to, take some time to talk to everybody. And I forgot. I was like, oh, yeah, they're here. Step away for just a second. Yeah. Everybody needs your attention. Yeah. Yep. King Trot says, stupid topic based on misinformation article. Watched in Destin's video for full document and info. Cool. I tell you what, King Trot. Why don't you just go hang out with Destin then, since you're going to come in here and bash my video, bash a topic choice, and promote somebody else. Just frick all the way off, bro. Take your purple badge and don't come back. You're no longer welcome here. Especially if you're going to promote that guy. You're going to promote that person with zero integrity and honesty. No, you don't get to come in here and do that. You're going to come in here and insult me, talk about how my topic's bad and a misinformation article. Yeah, I directly quoted Microsoft twice. Directly quoted them twice, and then talked about there could be great ways for Microsoft to modify Game Pass going forward and make changes to foster purchase. But sure, take a swipe at me and promote that frickin' rube. Go for it. Yo, what's good, Lazaro? Pour one out? I wouldn't even pour one out for that douche. He's been in here doing that before. What were the quotes? Well, we looked at the quote from Phil Spencer, and we looked at the numbers of Forza Horizon 4, and it seemed that Forza Horizon 4 greatly benefited from being on Game Pass in 2018, but that's also when Game Pass launched. So then we looked at the statements to the CMA that Game Pass has had a cannibalistic effect on sales. They've redacted the percentage, but there's been a number of percentage of decline in game sales since the launch of Game Pass. Now, I simply posited that all subscription services for games are somewhat in their infancy. That's the same goes for PS Plus. I talked about how I think PS Plus needs to evolve theirs. I don't think they've done a great job positioning their subservice either. And I think Microsoft could afford to make changes to Game Pass to make it foster more of an ecosystem of purchase. After 12 months, though, see, no, you're misreading that. I'll give you the direct quote. I will. I'll give you the direct quote. Everybody misreads this. It's not just after 12 months. It says a decline in base game sales 12 months following their addition to Game Pass. What they're saying is the game sees a decline in sales in the 12 months after hitting Game Pass. It's not just, at the 12th month, the sales start to drop off. No, in the following 12 months after hitting Game Pass, the sales go down. And you were one of the people, Mo, that told me PS Plus is DOA. Why? It's not day and date. You need day and date. Game Pass day and date, day and date, day and date, day and date. You kept banging on that drum. So what that means is every game that hits day and date, the 12 months that follow, a clear decline in sales. It makes sense because why would I buy a game when it's on Game Pass? But if I'm Microsoft and I'm looking at that, it stands to reason that the heavy investment into titles like, or even companies like Bethesda, I want to recoup that cost. I need to sell games. So I don't think it's alarmist. Listen, my argument was simple. This was something we all predicted. And I don't know about you, Mo. I can't speak for you. But plenty of the Super Pro Game Pass Xbox guys were in here telling me, oh no, Phil Spencer told me it increases sales. Now you're saying a sales drop-off is normal. No. It launches on Game Pass and it has 12 months of bad sales. That's exactly right. Like, That we've all been saying that for months. We've all been saying that for months, Mo. And folks like yourself kept assuring me, no, Game Pass increases sales. Phil Spencer said so in 2018. He said so. But now it's, oh no, sales drop us off. It's totally normal. I don't think so. If I'm a shareholder, if I'm a board member, no. Eugene's got one here. Microsoft admits that most Xbox users see Game Pass as the sole method of accessing video games and only consider purchasing the game if it doesn't launch on the Surface. Emphasis on most. Emphasis on most. Like, most of the people who use Xbox, that's how they view it. Nah, man, Game Pass. If it ain't on, I'll purchase it only if it's not on Game Pass. You can't, I can't look at that and be like, nah, that's totally fine. Like, I'm telling you, sub-services are in their infancy. Netflix is a cautionary tale. Disney Plus and other sub-services are raising their prices. I don't think sub-services have landed yet on a solid monetization model. I don't think they have. To pretend that they have, I just think is naive. To act as if businesses won't adapt and make changes over the next couple of years is naive. Game Pass will change. I guarantee you it will. Price will go up, and they'll change how it works. It's coming. Phil said it's an increase. In 2018, Phil said that Forza Horizon 5 being on Game Pass led to more sales of the game. Without insights into profit, it's too opaque to me. Y'all say you buy these games after you play them on Game Pass, but the numbers say different. Right. Team Ambush, right? All the players were being respectful. This guy went on with this. Other players going on. Oh, you're talking about something else. Yeah, hammer that home. Right, Eugene. You literally, that's proof right there of everything we've been saying. That quote. That Microsoft admits most Xbox users see Game Pass as the sole method of accessing video games, and they only consider purchasing a game if it's not on the Surface. They've literally fostered a community of 25 million plus people that are like, I don't buy games. Why would I buy games? That can't, like, that's cannibalistic. We made the analogy to Netflix before, and Netflix wasn't cannibalizing its funnel of sales because they weren't selling shows and movies. Microsoft with Xbox has been actively selling games for years, and they came out with a sub-service that gives you tons of reasons to not buy games anymore. And they initially made assurances. Phil Spencer made assurances in 2018. It increased sales. 5 years later, no, it didn't have that effect. You don't think they're going to course correct? If you're a board member, if you're a shareholder, if you're an investor, and you look at Microsoft and you say, well, Phil Spencer said this in 2018. And that didn't come to fruition. Now, maybe at the time, Game Pass was helping game sales go up, but it evolved over time. The ecosystem and the culture, people responded to Game Pass and said, well, why on earth would I buy a game? Oh, wow, a new game came out. New Forza came out. Oh, yeah, I can buy it. Why would I buy it? I'll just get on Game Pass. I'll spend $10, get Game Pass, play the game for a couple of weeks, and if I like it, sweet. If not, I'll cancel Game Pass again. It's why Game Pass subscriptions likely plateaued. They're constantly churning. They're constantly losing people. Top paragraph. Is that unclear to anything else? Microsoft also submitted that its internal analysis shows a redacted percentage decline of base game sales 12 months after the following their addition to Game Pass. While the specific percentage of decline in game sales remains hidden, the report also notes Microsoft is aware of the cannibalization that Activision opposed adding its game to subscription schemes over a similar belief that the practice would severely cannibalize buy-to-play sales, particularly in the case of new releases. Checkmate. Activision was opposed to adding their games to subscription schemes because they had the belief that it would, quote, severely cannibalize buy-to-play sales. Like, This is Microsoft's own words, their own admission. I got some guy in here that we banned a moment ago telling me it's misinformation and clickbait. Frick you. Read the documents. Read what Microsoft has said. They're literally saying it. They're like, yeah, it's had a cannibalization effect. And Activision believed that and wouldn't let us put their games on Game Pass. That's Activision, not Microsoft. The report also notes that Microsoft is aware of cannibalization and that Activision opposed adding its games to the subscription schemes. Yeah, you're right, that's Activision. When Lono's telling you to read, you know you've done effed up. Right, like Microsoft admits to the decline in sales. They know, they're aware of this. They're aware of the cannibalization, and later they point to Activision opposing that. They're like, yeah, Activision didn't want their stuff on the subscription schemes because of what it would do to buy to play. Where in the report? 5.62 in the report. We consider that Microsoft's telemetry data and internal analysis presented above has some limitations. The time period over which Microsoft appears to infer that buy-to-play purchase constitutes substitution is quite long, up to 1 year. Moreover, the observation that Game Pass customers continue to purchase buy-to-play games during the period is more consistent with complementary than substitutionably. Given buy-to-play purchases continue even during the subscription period, it is unclear from Microsoft's submission whether and to what extent that proportion of consumers that make buy-to-play purchases within a year of closing their subscription is different from the proportion of customers making buy-to-play purchases that never had the subscription in the first place. Where is the Activision portion? This isn't... However, notwithstanding these limitations, the telemetry data suggests that overall, and at least at a point in time, while MGS is expanding, there is some substitution from buy-to-play to MGS services. Yeah, they're saying here that Activision opposed adding games to subscription schemes over a similar belief that it would, quote, this is the direct quote, severely cannibalize buy-to-play sales, particularly in the case of newer sales. I can't give you the paragraph number, it's not in front of me. But they're directly quoting. They're directly quoting here that Activision believed it would severely cannibalize buy-to-play. 564. I don't have 564 in front of me. The text is in the way. Microsoft's internal documents recognize that adding titles to Game Pass would lead to cannibalization, and then the full excerpt, I can't see. There's a block of text in the way. So Microsoft themselves, Microsoft's internal documents. These aren't, oh my gosh. Remember when somebody was in here yesterday trying to drive the narrative that like they would say, oh yeah, they're going to mislead the CMA? 564 is CMA, not Microsoft. Microsoft internal documents recognize that adding titles to Game Pass would lead to cannibalization. That's the CMA assessment? No, that's a summary of Microsoft's internal documents. So CMA has read Microsoft internal documents and they're stupid and they came to the wrong conclusion. They're too dumb. Their reading comprehension's bad. These are internal documents submitted to the CMA. It's an internal document from Microsoft that recognizes adding titles to Game Pass would lead to cannibalization. What are you talking about? Microsoft internal documents recognize that adding titles to Game Pass would lead to cannibalization of buy-to-play sales. One internal email exchange stated that, one internal document stated that, and one internal document states that. Right, like, this is from Microsoft's own internal stuff, bro. It's not the CMA. It says in there in document, I can't do it. I can't do it. Blood's gonna squirt out my nose. I can't do it. You came too late for this nonsense today. You did. I can't do it. I can't do it. Microsoft internal documents have stated this, and you're trying to do some kind of backflip logical thing of like, no, that's the CMA. That's the CMA's assessment. That's not what Microsoft thinks. That's not what Microsoft thinks. Who'd you watch that's running that talking point? Who's running that talking point? Who's trying to claim that Microsoft didn't say that? Oh, that's a CMA summary statement. No, the CMA is saying Microsoft internal documents have stated this. I can't do it. Why am I getting no signal? I don't understand. I'm not getting a signal from my PlayStation. I'm not playing on my PlayStation. I was trying to play Returnal, and I'm like, I'm not getting a signal from my PlayStation. Of course I'm not getting a signal from my PlayStation. It's on my PC right now. Come on, Lono. Wait, I don't understand. Hang on. It's got to be something in the settings. It's sending all of the sound through my controller. Oh, I know what I need to do. Hang on. There we go. There we go. Had to switch the audio device. Yeah, I'm not trying to be dismissive, and I'm not trying to shut down debate, but I'm not going to do this thing where we repackage stuff and say, well, no, Microsoft didn't say it. Microsoft didn't say it. It's the CMA that's saying that. Okay. The document literally cites 3 different internal documents from Microsoft that are saying it. So I'm not doing this song and dance where we try to move the goalpost. I can't do it. I can't do it. My brain doesn't have the ability to do it, and we need to head over to gameplay anyway. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys the link to where we're headed. We're also gonna play Hogwarts after this. The early stages of Returnal are really, really fun, because really fun because there's so many cool things to like unlock and earn for the first time. So I'm going to redirect you. If you guys don't want to get redirected, please click the link in chat. Please consider supporting gameplay when we do it. It's like super important that we have the ability to showcase gameplay when it happens, right? We know that this isn't a talk show, but I want to show this off. Okay? And there's 373 people that should be coming with us. I know a portion of you won't, but I'd love for you to come hang out with us for gameplay, and then also look for the third stream, which will be Hogwarts. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. This is going to be Returnal PC gameplay. I'm running this at 1440. It said that I could run it at epic settings. I have increased the FOV a little bit. I will be using a DualSense controller. And I did turn things down from epic to high. I felt like I was getting little frame hitches, nothing significant. But in a game like this, we don't want to see that. So if you enjoy this kind of gameplay and quick looks at games, make sure and subscribe to the channel. Usually we're doing a talk show. We already did a talk show about Game Pass needing to change, and we are continuing a continued gameplay of Hogwarts Legacy. I'm going to end the previous stream and bring everybody over. Make sure as you guys come over, you smash the like button on the new stream. It